Tony Dunn, and not to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
What is up, Panther fans? It's the C3 Panthers Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. And it's the longest running Panthers podcast on the internet. And we're back. We're back celebrating our first win since November of last year. And we're asking one central question. Can the Panthers turn a win into momentum? We got the Cardinals this week, and we got a great show for you guys tonight. My name's Tony Dunn. You can call into the show at 252-228-5098. We've got Ed Smith speaks from the Bleav in Cardinals podcast, former NFL tight end from the Saints. Ugh, yuck, right? Ed Smith's been on the show several times, covers the Cardinals. He's been a great guest in the past. He's going to join us at 9:30. In hour number 2, we got your cat calls. We've got prize picks. We've got the latest news when it comes to the Panthers, whether it be Daviyon Nixon being activated, questions by Joe Person about DJ Moore's ability to separate, and why, or one question for me is, I wrote it on a napkin, will this Panthers offense ever get into gear this season? We'll talk a little bit about the game, breaking down the box, all of that with you guys, the greatest YouTube chat in all of the world. Cody Lashney is not here tonight. He will be back in full effect tomorrow or by Friday, but I want to go ahead and welcome in all the people as he does. Skunk Ape Mysteries, welcome. JD864, keep pounding. 5 Beta, Hitaz. Panthers are kings. Cody C313, Dan Floyd. Let me see if I miss a Zach Simmons. He's really good at this. Sideshow Rob, AJ, Lindsay, 1216, aka Drew, Joey the Blind Panther sees the truth, and Anthony Price up in the house, making true money. All of these guys are ready to talk, just like my co-host is, CK. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, what we say, we are living the dream. I tell you what, Tuesdays feel just a little brighter after a win. No matter what you think about this win, it's hard to feel like there's some positivity to take from what we saw on Sunday. We're going to break it down. I think there's going to be some debates. There's going to be some conversations. We're also going to look ahead to this Arizona Cardinals team that is very hot and cold. They can be incredible or they can be absolutely garbage. And we're going to see who we see this week. But we're got a guest, I think, Tony, that he has lined up that's going to help us learn a little more about that. So I'm excited to get that conversation underway.
Ed Smith is co-host of Easy Sports Talk Show, along with Javon Adams, 1060 AM in Phoenix. And again, co-host or host and co-host. I guess you're always a co-host if you have another host of Bleav in Cardinals podcast. He'll be here at 9:30 to help us preview this Cardinals matchup and figure out just exactly what we're facing and why this team is hot and cold. Should we be worried? Is this a place we can catch momentum? I think it actually is, but I would not be just writing off the Cardinals yet. If you haven't watched this team, Kyler Murray is still very, very good. And right now it's just about, can we take advantage of their defense, which isn't that great? I asked people on Twitter, what should we talk about tonight? And we got so much to talk about, but I needed to know from the fans what they wanted to talk about. Here was a fun one. DZ Skills said, I really like how we found our identity on offense with CMC having back-to-back 100-yard games. Now we have to fit that into our West Coast offense. Can we talk about that plus our emerging defensive stars? We finally got a win for this Bird app. Greg, we're removed from the game just a couple of days. CMC, been crushing it, but that's not surprising. The Panthers offense continues to struggle. How are you doing? How are you feeling to have this win?
I felt like a few days later I might feel differently than I did after the game. And after the game, I just for some reason wasn't insanely excited. But a few days later, I still for some reason am not. Like I saw a win, but I didn't see what I needed to see in a win to make me feel more confident about this team. And then we're going against a team this week that I have no idea how to read, because on paper they should be fantastic, and they don't play like that majority of the time. But then when they do play like that, they're amazing, unstoppable. So I don't know what to expect from them.
Well, I can tell you this: you can expect to be clipped just now because you put that pause between "I don't know how to read" and "I was watching the film." And so now people are just going to clip that and have you. I don't know how to read.
Yeah.
No, I don't know how to read.
Yeah.
I don't know how to read.
Yeah.
Or I don't know how to read film. How about that?
Yeah.
So look, I mean, you're right. Is the Cardinals are kind of a conundrum. I think that's what Cardinals fans are probably feeling at this moment. I'm sure Cliff Kingsbury is kind of feeling that. But I tell you this, is they can't run the ball. They don't have a great offensive line, and their defense isn't very good. So, but Kyler Murray and Hollywood Brown are very good. And so he can make stuff happen. I wouldn't write them off yet. This is a winnable game. They are actually road dogs, which I heard today. Cliff Kingsbury last is 6-1 as a road dog. So they do well when they're underdogs on the road, but they haven't done well against the Carolina Panthers in the past, or at least in the past couple of years. I'm sure that they won't be taking this game lightly, as they remember us really kind of ruining their hot streak just 2 years ago, and that started this kind of cycle of them starting hot and finishing cold. We want to know what you want to talk about. You can call into the Cat Calls line at 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. Be sure to smash the thumbs up button, subscribe, and consider becoming a C3 super fan, right? For a small contribution, monthly contribution, you get one of these cool green tags with the loyalty badge and your access to these special emojis, and occasionally or often to kind of impromptu special giveaways. Last week, and I can't say giveaways this time, we friended a C3 Superfan a group of tickets. They didn't do anything to earn it. They didn't enter anything. It's just we had 2 tickets that were donated to us, and we said, hey, let's give them to one of our super fans. We've given away some shirts, but just being a part of the conversation is what we want. Share the show, be a friend, tell a friend. And CK, you know what we need to tell them about? How the show is brought to you by Manscaped. They're our partners, and Manscaped is, I guess, the place to go if you're a man who wants to get scaped or to get groomed in a safe way. Manscaped brings you male grooming products, the best in around, the best in town. You can go to manscaped.com and use the promo code Panthers. That's promo code Panthers, and guess what you'll get? You'll get 20% off your order. You will get free shipping, right? And you will help this podcast continue to sustain some sponsors. And what it's done is gotten us cool stuff already. This has helped us do stuff like this. Oh, hey. Oh. Oh, and if you can tell, my mic is fantastic sounding these days. And it's because we've been able to invest a little bit into the podcast, and Manscaped supporting our sponsors is a way to do it. CK, I know you use these products. We say this, buy them for your grandpa because you don't want him to nick his balls.
Right. I mean, listen, they already have thin blood. You're going to cause some issues. They're on blood thinners. They're trying to do their best. And if they're nicking themselves when they're trying to take care of themselves below the waist, I don't know about you, but that's a fear I don't want you to have to live with. That on top of the fact of, I mean, let's be real. These guys, if they end up going to the hospital, you want them to look good. Like could you imagine being this guy who goes into the hospiel, like afraid of what these hot nurses are going to, I mean, let's
sponge bath. They can't even find it.
Yeah. Get your grandfather, get your dad. I mean, hell, your son, if they're at that age. I mean, here's the thing. You could teach them how to shave. Like, I mean, not there, but weird. Like, you could teach them other things. And so try to get
even
that,
weirder.
Right. So I'm going to stop talking. And then, go ahead.
I would say this is continue. Look, help grandpa slay at the nursing home. Yeah. These guys are still getting busy in their old age, and you want grandpa to slay at the nursing home, not die because he nicked a little sack and bled out. That would be the worst way to go. And if you get manscaped, your grandpa's not going to die of a nicked sack.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there's some disclaimer I probably should say. And this is my disclaimer. 20% off, free shipping, promo code Panthers. Support the podcast. Let's get into the show, guys, and get rocking and rolling. Rocking and balling. Can Panthers turn this win into momentum? We beat a division rival. If you're going to win a game, that's a good game to win, right? Look, we lost some games. We don't really know about this team just yet. Like Greg said, he's not overly excited just yet. And neither is necessarily this team. But they are happy that they won. Matt Rhule kind of asked about the meaning of this team in the press conference after the game. And he said this: we're not a perfect team right now, so we're just going to try to get better and better at it. Trust me, I'm happy. I'm happy we won, and I'm happy for these guys. I hope you say, and I'm happy for these fans. I'm happy, but I'll say this, and many may say it sounds corny, but I get it, and I don't care. At the end of the day, the true victory is that they responded on Monday. They responded on Wednesday. You guys are in the locker room. I don't think you see a bunch of guys pounding around or whatever. They just keep fighting back. That's the thing that's really important to me. Kind of citing this team's resiliency in the face of this adversity. You know what? I think happy is the word, right? It's just happy that we don't have to, at this point today on Tuesday, for the 10th straight time, come back here and say, oh, the quarterback, the offensive line, it's time to fire Matt Rhule, this and that. At least we can just look towards next week against the Cardinals, and all of a sudden you go 2-2, and this team catches some momentum. How are you guys responding 2 days removed? I'll start with you, CK.
You know, I'm probably more optimistic than anybody else. I felt like I said on Sunday, I feel as though all the issues are fixable. I don't feel like there's many that are overly concerning that, you know, and we talk about it from the first 2 weeks, right? The thing that's different about this week is the plays that went the opposite way in the first 2 weeks went our way this week, right? This past week. So, and that has a lot to do with the defense. That has a lot to do with, the offensive line playing, making a decision to maybe not put the ball deep because of that secondary of the Saints being so good. There might have been a plan that was involved that caused this to look like a lot worse game. Now, that doesn't take away the fact that Baker looked like he couldn't throw the ball accurate to save his life, but there's also a lot of extenuating circumstances. You'll look at, and I'll encourage you guys to go check out Unnecessary Bluntness. He put out a video, breaking down the film, showing Baker Mayfield was to blame for, many of the things that we saw, but also you're going to see that many of the things that happened weren't on Baker entirely.
Only. Yeah, not only.
Right. And that's, those things are like DJ Moore being 20th in the NFL for separation from his defenders, right? He's not doing good at getting that separation. That's something we talked about on Sunday. That's something I talked about, saying that I wasn't seeing a lot of. And it's something that now, if you look at it, these are all like the universal PFF and, David Newton, not David Newton, Joe Person wrote an article about this. And so when you see that, like it's hard, it's real easy to put everything on Baker because Baker's an easy target. He's the newest guy. We all love what we see. We all love DJ Moore. Like, we want him to be an elite receiver in this league. But the reality is these guys were doing him no favors either. So this was a failure of our offense, as I mentioned on Sunday, that everybody is just, failing across the board. So it's not one person more than another person. It's an equal failure across the board. And if you look at the film and you actually detail it and listen to people who know what they're talking about, you're going to see that exact same stuff too. I think there's two culprits here, and I don't think it really helps to find which one is more to blame. Right. And I don't know, but I'm not even interested in the DJ stat at this point.
What I'm interested in is that Baker Mayfield has yet to complete over 50% of his passes as a Carolina Panther in a single game. He's yet to crest 200 yards passing. He has not been a turnover machine, but like we asked this, why is it? Is it Baker? Is it something else? And really, if you look at the play calling that's been so far, it hasn't helped, right? Is that a lot of people have talked about the predictability of our play calling. There's been a lot, I think, too much put on Baker in a sense, like is that we have this running back who crushes it all the time. And I don't know if we've really featured him in a way. And it doesn't just mean more touches only, just in a more dynamic use of him. It just really, it's to me, the two culprits are Ben McAdoo and Baker Mayfield. You can assign which blame you want to. If you want to make one worse than the other, right now is I know Baker has not played well, and Ben McAdoo has not impressed me. And this was a guy that I was hoping that was really going to bring his experience to the table and really help us in these type of moments, game plan for other teams and exploit their weaknesses. He's not been able to do that. Good news, Greg. Great news here. For the first time ever doing this podcast, we have not said it's because of the offensive line. I truly believe this. I don't think the offensive line has played bad at all. I'm going to say they've been flawless. Let's just say, look, they've made mistakes, but I kind of feel like the 2020 offensive line when they had Teddy Bridgewater, it's like, hey, that's not the worst offensive line I've seen as a Carolina Panther. This is definitely not the worst offensive line that I've seen in the last 5 years. And I would argue that they might be the best performing offensive line I've seen in years.
There was actually a comment earlier in the chat room that I wanted to highlight, but I forgot to do it as it was going by, trying to keep up with him. Cody does this. I don't know how he does this.
I know. He just keeps a clicking.
Yeah. But it said in the chat that on ESPN, there was a reporter who had us report as the number one offensive line performance for the week.
Yeah. I saw that as well.
You're right. We're not talking about the offensive line. It is crazy. And it's weird looking at this, too, because I know that after the game, you have your emotions where you've seen the game. You've got the emotions running high, and you maybe haven't gone back and looked at all the details. And I think that maybe I still put a lot of this blame on Baker Mayfield because, one, he is the quarterback, and two, he does need to play better. But you're absolutely right. Going back and being able to look at it and stop and pause and look at different details and not have to be live following it, you can see that not everything's his fault. Like you said, he hasn't thrown over 50% completion percentage in any of his games, but I'm willing to bet if you go back and add all those drops and count his completions, he's over 50%.
Well, the part of it
stuff like that. So
the only argument that I will say, if I'm playing devil's advocate there, is a lot of quarterbacks have better stat lines and they have equal amount of drops, right? The problem is that Baker, when he was getting an open wide receiver, which again, he isn't getting a tremendous amount of help from his receiving core. That's facts. If you go and look at the actual film and go watch Unnecessary Bluntness, watch his stuff. There is a real issue with our wide receivers not getting open. Now you can blame that on McAdoo and his routes, right? Because we did the same thing to Joe Brady. We said that his routes were too predictable, and maybe that's the same thing we're experiencing right now. But when Baker Mayfield did have an open receiver, he was overthrowing them or underthrowing them.
True.
And so that is where the criticism on Baker is real. Like that is a real criticism. And there's hope that
he's been bad. He's been bad. There is no excusing it. Like while we could say he could have been better had the play calling been better, right? We have eased him into this a little bit differently. Sure. But at the end of the day, he's missing passes we would never give any pass to Cam Newton or to Teddy Bridgewater or to Sam Darnold for. Right. And I don't think we've given him a pass either. Let me be clear with that is like right now, we're just trying to bide our time with Baker before we turn on him. Right? I think that's the case, is that I don't think anybody has tried to say, oh, it's because of something. I don't think we've been excuse making for Baker, just in a sense, more hoping that it could turn around a little.
I might have been making more excuses for him. And I admit to that because I did the same thing for Sam Darnold and I did the same thing for Teddy Bridgewater. And I feel like it's only a fair shake to give to give Baker Mayfield the same value like people wanted to give to other people, the other quarterbacks that I wanted to give to everybody else. And I said 3 weeks in, I was going to make my determination. Right now, I think it's fair to say that Baker has not been who he should be to be a franchise quarterback. He has shown a lot of backup quarterback tendencies, right? And that's irritating. But at the end of the day, Baker needs to be better, and we're still only 3 games in. So there's still plenty of opportunities for him to turn it around. We'll see how it goes. But even if he plays well next month or next week, the thing that's going to suck for Baker is it's going to be, all right, show me again next week, right? Mm-hmm. There's not going to be great job, but show me again next week, right? And that's the thing that sucks. When you have 3 inconsistent games, and you have 1 good game, it doesn't erase it. And that's where you have to earn back.
Oh, no, I don't think we're all of a sudden going to be like, oh, Baker's the answer. I do think I'm waiting for Baker to kind of pull out of the funk. Like, I just know he's not this bad. Or I think he's not this bad. How about that? I don't think it's to this level. I did see this crazy tweet from like one of the Baker haters from Cleveland. And it was like Cleveland sports, whatever. So I don't know how legit this tweet, but they said this is how it goes. First, you start blaming the play calling. Next, you start blaming the receivers. Next, you start saying this and that, like the refs and this, and all of this to say Baker is not the problem. So, you know what? I do think Baker has the potential to have an explosive game. And I don't think he is 148. I don't think he's an under 200-yard passing quarterback. If he was under 50% in the league, like, we wouldn't have traded for him. This is not, I don't know.
He's playing below average for sure. And, I was just thinking about, you ever heard when somebody's talking like a dog or a bear chasing you and like there's 2 people and it's like, well, I don't have to outrun the bear. I just got to outrun you. Right now, Baker's that you. Baker's that guy we just got to outrun.
Yeah.
To let the bear get. That's what we're using him for this year. He's just the guy that we've got to outrun. So,
yeah, happy birthday. Shout out to KG73s. He said he's right about this. If there's a team you're going to do it against, you're going to do it against the Arizona Cardinals. And that's the truth. In fact, Baker Mayfield's prize pick number continues to decline. I've continued to pick him over or more than. And this week, I'm going to do it again. This is the week. This is the week we're going to get our prize picks right. So if we went through, I just want to look at some of the things. Laviska Shenault brought a spark to this offense. Look at this stat right here. Is this not insane? He had 2. Look, I wonder if we could do what's the math on this? 22 and 15 is 37.
What's the math you're trying to do?
30. I'm trying to add up all the passing yards for all the other people. So 14 and 14 is 28. That would be 30. 47, right?
41.
No. What is this number? Somebody had 22.
I'm looking at about 79 yards.
So Laviska Shenault had more yards than receiving than the rest of the team?
Yeah. Oh, by far. Yeah, I could have told you that without adding it up, looking at
it. That's crazy town. Really? That's insanity. So he did provide a spark. He had a big play and a big touchdown just on 2 receptions. Some people said DJ Moore was the number 1 read on that touchdown. But really, I think instead of us focusing on this offense, I think it's time to really talk about this defense and give them some credit. I want to temper this. Look, I was kind of hard on them in the post-game show because I don't want to over-celebrate just okay. But they won this game for us. They scored the offense, really almost the only offensive touchdown until Shenault's big play. They forced 3 straight 3-and-out plays. And you saw J.C. Horn, Derek Brown. So Daviyon Nixon, why are they saying he got promoted again when he played last week? I don't even know why that's a story on the Panthers website. Frankie Louvu, though. Frankie Louvu is the spark on this team right now. So the Carolina Panthers defense was carrying it, but here's the thing, is that the New Orleans Saints, they had a lot of penalties that put them in some difficult places on their offense. They got behind early. They were unable to kind of funnel that game through. Kamara while I'm excited that this defense has gotten better from week to week to week, I am a little concerned about their inability to get after the quarterback just with the front foot. Yeah. Even that, with that said, though, is this is a wild stat here. Is most pressures through week 3, Brian Burns is second in the league with 17.
Mm-hmm.
But how many sacks does he have? 1?
That's the thing. And pressures are great. Like I said, that's what sucks about this is like, that's the next thing is, well, how many sacks does he have? It's like, well, if you try to look at it like that, then it's like taking away from the pressures. Pressures are huge. But it's just, I would rather have, I mean, I guess if you get a sack, you're getting a credit for a pressure too, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. So I guess I wouldn't.
So, I mean, he's played well. He's been our best defensive lineman for sure in this case. But I want to give Derek Brown continued props. I have actually been a Derek Brown supporter while most people kind of turned on him. He graded out really well 2 weeks in a row. Yep. J.C. Horn is definitely going to grade out well because he had a batted ball that led to an interception as well as an interception.
J.C. Horn is the second highest graded person in PFF this week.
Nice. Wow. And you know what? Can't the eyeball test just tell us a lot about this? Is like they made big special plays.
Well, the problem is like from a cornerback perspective, is it's really hard to say that because if you're playing really well, then the quarterback isn't even throwing to you, right? So like it's similar to the Josh Norman effect in 2015 when Josh Norman, he wasn't getting many targets. The benefit to him is he was taking it, he was getting interceptions when the targets were coming his way. So it was there was value there. But, for a guy, that's where PFF is advantageous is because like for instance, offensive tackle or something, right? Well, if you can grade them based on their performance, because you're not going to get a stat on them outside of sacks allowed, maybe. That's still not a super fair, assertion to be able to grade their entire performance based on. So I think that the PFF is it allows for the things that are impossible for the eye test to really show you, because if J.C. Horn isn't getting breakups and interceptions, well, you're not going to have an eye test because there's no camera shots of him breaking up passes and intercepting balls and all that stuff. You're not going to see any camera angle of him outside of him locking a guy up maybe once or twice.
Yeah, again, good news is that the Carolina Panthers offensive line has played better and better each week. A lot of cool things. A lot of people are surprisingly happy with Pat Elflein's play at center. Austin Corbett, Taylor Moton had a bounce back week this week.
Mm-hmm.
So you see some of those grades on the offensive side of the ball, which is surprising given the fact that our offense has been so putrid. We want to hear your thoughts on not only the Carolina Panthers game this past week, but heading into the Arizona Cardinals. You can call in on the Cat Calls line. We'll be featuring those calls in hour number 2. The number is 252-228-5098. We want to remind you to subscribe, smash the thumbs up button, and get ready, folks. We got a great guest coming on right now. Ed Smith. Can you guys bring him in? Ed Smith from Bleav in Arizona Cardinals Podcast. Ooh. He is the co-host of Easy Sports Talk show alongside of Javon Adams, 1060 AM in Phoenix, and he's been on this show several times. Welcome back to the show. How you doing, Ed?
Good to see you, gentlemen. It's almost like we're in the same division or something, man. Every year goes that way.
I know. We are playing each other a lot, it seems, and sort of at this kind of crux of the moment time in the season, strangely, for teams in the past, and I think for us this year, again, maybe 2 years ago, you guys came to town, kind of spoiled the hot start for the Cardinals, and then it kind of started this deterioration that we have seen as a pattern for the Arizona Cardinals, where it's like a hot start and then a bad back end of the season. This year, though, is a different story for the first time in a couple years under Cliff Kingsbury. You guys are trying to figure out who you are, just like the Carolina Panthers are trying to figure out who we are. And this game means a lot, I think, to both of us. What's going on with the Arizona Cardinals this year?
But, it all kind of started with our off season, and almost immediately after the regular season or postseason wrapped up for us last year, we took that beating by the Rams, kind of moseying on into the sunset. And shortly after the Pro Bowl, all of a sudden we got scrubbing of social medias and all this contract talk. It was such a messy offseason. And I know you guys know about this because all the things you guys had to deal with as well. But it just seemed like it never stopped. And then we get to training camp, and, I don't want to be that old guy, get off my lawn, but.
Oh, we lost him.
Little freeze up for Ed here. As
Snap.
old man up, he's breaking up.
Sorry.
He's coming back. You're coming back. You're back. Kind of. Hey, why don't you do us a favor and
just
jump?
Plug back in. There you go.
There you go. All right, let's see if we got you back here.
Is that good?
We can hear you. Let's see. You're the old man on our lawn. Get off our lawn.
Okay, there we go.
Right.
Yeah, the way they handled training camp this year. The way we handled training camp this year with nobody participating at all, even though we had all these new pieces in here. We had, D-Hop is going to be suspended for 6 games, first 6 games of the year. It wasn't important to get anybody on the field. And I think you're seeing the spoils of that now. We look just lethargic. Our game plans are not great. We're just trying to figure everything out. Our offensive line has had no opportunity to play together. Our defensive side of the ball, the cornerback issues we've had, it has been just a mess of affairs leading to this point. And in the first 3 games, our offense has not scored a point in the first quarter. Defensively, we have a total of 2 sacks on quarterbacks. So we're basically letting them sit back there and have all the time they want. And I'm telling you, we might be the get right for you guys this week. I know you won this past weekend, but we might make you guys look like superstars this week, the way we've been playing to start this season. It has not been a pretty picture out here in Arizona so far.
I know it's easy to get down on a team when you're so close to them and you're disappointed with expectations. We've kind of experienced that through our first beginning of the season. But, we try to remind ourselves it's early, right? We were 0-2. We're getting 1-1.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get to 2-2. I went and watched the Cardinals game this past week against the Rams, against a tough team. And this is what my assessment, and you tell me where I'm right or wrong or what you see about it, is that I understand the national narrative that the Cardinals are lost right now. That's what everybody's saying, is that it's a mess. From the offense to the defense to everything right now. But I watched the game right there where I've seen, and actually the week before, Kyler Murray doing his crazy magic, running around, doing his thing. Kyler Murray was on point, I felt like, a lot in that game last week. And he was not aided by a couple of things. Number one, like you said, a kind of a porous offensive line, an incredible lack of a running game, 0-0 running game from the Cardinals. And I don't know if that's a 1-game special or if it seemed like it looked like it would probably be the norm. There were drop balls, there were things like that. But then you flip to the other side of the ball. You're so thin in the secondary and at linebacker. The linebackers look like little baby giraffes running out there. And the defensive, so the defense has nothing. It almost seems like it's Kyler Murray and Hollywood Brown go and make magic, and that's it.
Well, you got to see the best of so far this year in Kyler and Marquise Brown.
Okay.
I refuse to call him Hollywood. Mama named him Marquise.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, Mama named him Marquise. I'm gonna call him Marquise. But no, I'm just joking. This is from a movie. But you saw the best of them this past week. They have not looked that good in the first 2 games. You got to remember, in the Raiders game, we were down 0-20 going into the third quarter, and I have no idea what the Raiders did to take their foot off the pedal and become lethargic on their side, and then allowed Kyler to get into that mode where once, he sped up a little bit, they started picking up the pace of the game, and then he made some magical plays. And I've never said that I've always said that he is one of the most special and gifted young men at that quarterback position. One, you can't always rely on that, but, he picks his spots. And, he's not like, even this past game, he going into the third quarter, I think it was, he had 0 rushing attempts. And I don't know whether that's by choice or maybe he just doesn't want to get hit. Whatever it is, that's a portion of his game he's got to have in the tool bag every time he steps on the field. And I'm saying use it wisely. He's a small guy. He doesn't want to be out there in harm's way, but you got to utilize that part of your game. It's almost like he's reluctant to do that at this point. That's going to make him more of an average quarterback. As far as our running game, you've hit that right on the head. I've been screaming from day one. One thing, we got to get Kyler Murray under center more to make our running game more effective. Connor is a downhill dude. He's not one of those dudes that's great in the read option thing where he doesn't get started until Kyler either pulls the ball or doesn't. I think that's a flaw in our running game. The other is our offensive line is not really good, is not very good at all. And then the other thing, Kingsbury bails on our running game the second things seem like they're not going right and never goes back to him. We threw the ball 58 times this past week and ran it 21, I think it was. And this wasn't a game like a blowout. The final score of the game was 20-12. So where was the need to like totally abandon the running game? Like, you know, and so that's game plan. It's execution. It's, you know, like I said, it's something's going on with Murray where he doesn't want to run all of a sudden. And maybe, just maybe, he got that big paycheck. Now he feels like he doesn't have to do it. You know, he's making $47 million average a year coming up here. And, you know, he's got that money. Why am I going to go out there and put myself in harm's way? Right. I'm not working for that paycheck anymore. I already got it.
I hope it's not that mindset, because that's going to destroy everything that we have going with paying players these huge numbers in the future, right?
Man, I think it is. I mean, I think this is that that Rams front was eating them alive, bro. They were just eating that team alive. And while I understand you don't want to abandon the running game, like it wasn't. I don't know if how good James Conner. It just wasn't working at all. Nothing was working. That defense was owning it. But on the other side of the ball, I tell you one thing that wasn't working was that defense, man. If there gives me, like you said, a get right game.
Oh man,
I tell you this is like, I know that the Rams have a lot of players, but these guys were just running free. These receivers just had wide open, like it was just like open. See, it could have hit the side of a barn. If Baker Mayfield get right against this defense?
Let me give you some thoughts on this defense. First off, we just let a Chandler Jones go without a fight. The anchor of that defensive front. You know, he goes on his merry way. We don't replace him in a draft. Then we don't address our cornerback issues. We're probably one of the most depleted and worst teams as far as the cornerback position in the NFL. So free agency comes and goes. We don't address that, either one of those. The draft comes. We don't address either one of those. We go out and spend a first-round pick to trade for Marquise Brown. Then our second pick, we get a tight end. We got Zach Ertz here. What the heck do we need another tight end for? Instead of addressing the edge rusher or get somebody to replace Chandler, go get you a top flight cornerback in either of those first two picks. So, you know, you talk about inept. I mean, whatever scheme and, you know, whatever scheme that Vance has is going to be utterly useless, because if you don't have the pieces for the board, the game is over. And you guys have seen it. They've run. You've got whoever's faced us. You've run against us at ease. I'm talking right out the box too. You don't even have to try to figure it out. Like, hey, this isn't working. No, you guys. They've come out. You know, 5 and 6 and 7 yard rushing averages in the first quarter or two with ease. And then when you want to throw on us, there's nobody out there to stop you. And then to boot, we can't get any pressure on anybody. Like I said, 2 sacks in 2 games. Last week against the Raiders, we had a sack on the second play of the game by one J.J. Watt. We didn't sniff Carr the rest of the day when he had been sacked 5 times the week before. So, you know, it's – and then to make it even worse, in the week 1, Vance, he knows what he's working with. So he's thinking, well, I got to generate some pressure because I can't let Mahomes sit back there and just dice us up. So then you blitz him and you expose an even worse secondary to – you know, man-to-man coverage and blitz, you know, and it was, you know, Mahomes, if they didn't pick it up, he was just hitting the hot routes or hitting the open routes. And if they did pick it up, that's when he decided, oh, I got a little extra time. I'm going to hit Kelsey on this seam route 25 yards up the field. So it's almost like, pick your poison. How do you want to get beat? Do you want to get beat by the run game? We can help you there. You want to get beat, if we try to blitz you? Yeah, if you pick it up, or if you got guys who know what they're doing, we'll hit, and if we pick that blitz up, it's time to go for the big play. So there's been nothing working on the defensive side of the ball for us to this point.
Yeah, so I know that you mentioned a lot of the off-season drama, I guess you would call it. Do you feel like that has been a distraction? I know you had that one really incredible, like, once-in-a-lifetime comeback that happened 2 weeks ago. But do you see this team being distracted, or do they actually feel like they're pretty well meshed together?
Well, we've already got Kyler Murray in his press conferences talking about everybody else needs to step up and stop sleeping because, he has freedom to do whatever he needs to do out there. Ooh. And we have to – now, you want me to read a quote for you?
Yeah, actually, that actually sounds you know what? We would have run Cam Newton. We would have drug Cam Newton through the mud for something like that, if that's like what it sounds like.
Yeah. I told guys you have to be awake when you play with me, no matter what the play is. Murray said in his post-game conference, I have free reign to do whatever. So when you sleep and you don't think you're getting the ball, you can't play like that. Everybody has to be heads up in the game, locked in, and we just have to be better. So, it goes on from there, but it's almost like he's calling people out. Do
you think that was the James Conner one? That had to have been that James Conner play where he hit him in the back of the head or whatever. James Conner was like, I was supposed to go there, and he just fucking dunked him right on the back of the head.
Here's the thing, gentlemen. We've all been in situations, whether it be in an office or me on the field or whatever. He who walked without sin cast the first stone, right?
Yes, okay? Yes.
He has not played flawless to this point. He's had some great plays, but the majority of his game has been very suspect. So now you're going to call other dudes out on a team. Everybody's out there trying to do what they can do, but, you're not perfect, Mr. Kyler Murray. And here's the thing. When you're dealing with team dynamics, there's a place for that. Hey, we had a conversation in the locker room. I'm not going to privy you to it, but we had a talk. You don't need to come to public almost like I want to let everybody know that I've told everybody in that locker room they need to step their game up to match what I'm doing because I got free reign out there. You better be ready when your time is called, and that for me is a no-no. And that's part of what I've been saying all along regarding his leadership because he's one of the most dynamic players there is in this league. His leadership has lacked from day one.
Well, that has been the question. Yeah, that has been the question,
Mark.
That's
another example of it for me.
I think everybody on this podcast, I know us three are, I'm guessing you are too, are married. Are you married, Ed, or are you alone?
Yeah.
Actually, that sounded weird when I said it like that. I didn't mean it like that. Are you alone? You're with us, man. You know what? As a married man for 16 years and been with my wife for 22, I just realized sometimes I might be right, but you don't always got to say it. And he may have been right in that case, but as a leader in those moments, you lift guys up rather than tear them down in a sense. Exactly. And that's something, maybe you even say it in the locker room, but like you said, maybe you don't even say it at all. Don't you think James Conner knows he needs to have his head on a swivel more than anything? So we've been interested in Kyler Murray's demeanor. We've heard, I don't even want to talk about the contract with the study clause and stuff like that. I'm not even interested in it. I will say this. The funniest thing out of all of that I heard, Ed, is I saw a fake tweet. It was like one of those troll, it's meant to be, it was satire. And it said, Kyler Murray, first player paid with Call of Duty money, like COD coins or whatever. Something. I thought it was awesome. Greg, you got the mic, my man.
Hey, what's going on, Ed? I do have one question for you. I think we may have even asked you this last time we spoke to. I know me and Cody are real big on Isaiah Simmons. And I know you're talking about how the defense is kind of not really favorable. It's not really something you like to look at or can brag about a lot. And I know last year I saw Isaiah Simmons. Me and Cody were real big on him. And I saw him get burned bad a couple times last year. Made highlights getting burned or, lowlights, I guess. Yeah. But wasn't he the one who forced the fumble against Renfro in the game this year. And I wanted to ask you, has he improved? Does he look more like the player we were expecting him to come out of at a college? And if so, is he somebody, if he's on top of his game, we need to look out for playing against?
Great question, man. I do remember we talked about this last year. Simmons is in a fog right now.
Okay.
This past game, so remember, they only played 48 defensive snaps because we held the ball, I think, for like 81. So out of that 48 snaps,
right when he starts talking about good stuff.
I know, right when he's about to come back. Come on back to us, Ed. Come on back. Frozen Ed. He's frozen in time. I was wondering, I think too. Oh, there we go. You're back.
Okay. Out of 60 some odd snaps against the Raiders, he had 15 total snaps. It was almost like they were trying to bench him.
Ooh.
The problem out here, what they're doing, Greg, they're taking Isaiah Simmons and totally mishandling this talent. Meaning they've almost declared, hey, he can do everything. So that's what we're going to ask him right out of the box. We want him to play safety, middle linebacker, cover in the slot, and play each linebacker position. And at one point, they had the green dot on the back of his head, right? So he's swimming out there. I have been preaching and praying, let this man do one thing and get great at it. Then you expand him out. Imagine if all you did was put him at the linebacker spot. Middle linebacker, outside, I don't care, whichever one. Let him play that one spot like a true linebacker. Let him go get it, downhill, et cetera, et cetera. He learns that, then you can start piecing everything else in there. What they've done, they've ruined his confidence already, if you ask me. And I don't know what practices are looking like, but they're using that as the main excuse, like he's not practicing well. So, that's why his snap count is down. It's basically, they're not calling it a benching. They're just saying that, that was just the game plan. If you got this beautiful young athlete that can do all these different things, how can you game plan not to have him out there for the majority of the snaps? Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, until they free his mind a little bit and just put him at one spot, let him do his thing, and then, like I said, grow into the other areas they want him to, he's going to be a hot mess, and he has been. And you can tell there are plays when he's out there, he's just a half a step slow because he's thinking too much. It seems like he's always in the wrong place trying to play catch up, whereas if he, like I said, had a better grasp on everything and just one thing, he might be an absolute beast out there. But I'm to answer part of your question too, I think he's getting a bad read, meaning if he was in, say if you guys had scooped him up and he was in Carolina, which right now, he might be a straight just beast because, like I said, he might have been utilized differently, but the way the Cardinals are treating him so far has been a total disappointment.
We would have ruined him too. Yeah.
We would have ruined him.
Well, is it kind of a situation? Hang on, real quick, Tony. Is it kind of a situation where like he was great at all these things in college? So coming into the pros, you imagine he could be great at all these things as well. But he'd be superior at one thing if they let him do this one thing.
Yeah.
And then dabble in these other things. What they need to do is what you're saying. And that sounds about right. I haven't got a chance to watch a lot of his play, but
yeah, I was joking the other day. I was joking the other day on our radio show. What they're trying to do is imagine trying to jump from basic math to algebra to trigonometry to calculus, just like, and that's what it is. You can be great in college. There are very few that come into the NFL and all of a sudden they're just great. They have to learn it. They have to get up to the speed. And like I said, you don't just throw everything at them all at once. Let them chew a little bit at a time. And then eventually you get that great, dynamic player. They're just, like I said, and the sad part, gentlemen, I don't think they get it. I think they're going to continue on this path with them. And then he'll be considered a bust because he didn't turn out the way they wanted him to when they were the ones who mistreated him and misused him in the first place.
So to add to that, so I think the downfall of the defense for the Cardinals, and I say downfall reluctantly, it started with the drafting of Isaiah Simmons, right? The following year, you guys also, on top of this year letting go Chandler Jones, you let go of Hassan Reddick.
Yes.
Right. And I think the Isaiah Simmons drafting, was the nail in the coffin for Reddick, even though after that year, he had his best year in Arizona, the year Isaiah was drafted.
Actually, I'll stop you real quick. The drafting of Zaven Collins
was the
beginning of the end for yeah.
But to that point, so you talk about the downfall, and you guys pay an arm and a leg to JJ Watt to come here, injury prone up to that point, getting to the end of his career. He's made an impact play last week, I think, if I'm not mistaken, but for the most part, largely overpaid at this point. Mainly for legacy, right? So right now, what is the biggest weakness on that defense, and how much of the decisions over the past 2 years, or let me rephrase, all of these decisions, how hot is the seat for Cliff Kingsbury?
The sad part, gentlemen, is we just gave him an extension through 2027. So, and with a cheap organization like ours, I said it. Oh, let's rephrase that. I used a different word on the show the other day. Frugal. With a frugal organization like ours, you spend that money up front like that, it's going to be all kind of headaches to try to buy him out of this contract. They're not going to want to pay him and pay somebody else. So this nightmare of Cliff Kingsbury might go on for an extended amount of time.
What was the study clause for him?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. And
he's got to play video games for 4 hours a week. You got to make him play Madden 4 hours a week.
Him and Kyler, they should get together.
That's how he's got to. That's how he's got to teach Kyler the playbook. He's like, all right, we're gonna go on Madden. I've uploaded the playbook.
There you go.
This is
that's a good. Yeah, that's a good call. They could work that one together. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Anyway, but this extension to me. It'd be one thing if it was 3 or 4 years ago, you gave him a second extension. You just gave it to him this year. So they're not going to eat a lot of that money. So that means Kingsbury's going to be around there for a spell. And that 4 years, this is his fourth season, 4 seasons in, he still looks like a rookie coach when it comes to making decisions, the clock management, preparation, making adjustments when your initial stuff doesn't work. These are all things that in year 2, you start to get better. Year 3, you're mastering it a little bit. Year 4, if you're a quality coach, you're moving forward with this organization. And I think the smoke and mirrors, guys, has been the fact that the team had those hot starts, and then we backed our way into the playoffs last year. So it's like, well, look, they've improved every year, under his. I mean, if that's your goal to skeet in and then get blown out, I mean, if that's your goal, then I guess complete. And
I was gonna say it's very what's eerie about this is the only difference between what we've seen from the Cardinals and what we've seen from the Panthers is you guys have a quarterback who made it look better, right? We both have first-year head coaches in the NFL coming from college, which largely has been a disappointment on most teams. I don't think there's been very many. It's an outlier to have a successful college coach come in here and be a successful head coach. It's just a rare thing. It's not impossible, but it's rare. But that's also one of the reasons you don't go drafting, quarterbacks who have traits that are considered outlier benefit. Like they're not like you can draft a Drew Brees prototype, but the problem is like that's an outlier. You're betting on the under at that point in time, right? And so I think that's the same thing with college coaches. We were all kind of optimistic for Matt Rhule. And the problem, and this is the thing that I'm kind of afraid for Arizona, is the success that has happened on the back of people like Kyler Murray having, like, really, let's be honest, some incredible players, a lot of talent on that team for the majority of his years. Is now that there's an extension, it's almost like, oh, okay, well, we're in this for the long haul. We got to do to Kyler what basically Carolina did to Cam, which is basically just let him run the show and hope that it works out, right?
You won't do that with an offensive coach, and that's what I wanted to kind of just circle back with Cliff Kingsbury. You were talking about those draft picks. I've been, and just because I'm picking up my kids from school at this time, I've been listening to Colin Cowherd on the radio for like 15 minutes, and his big shtick this past week has been how defensive coaches, if you look at all the defensive coaches around the league, their quarterbacks stink. And if you look around the offensive coaches around the league, their quarterbacks are good or improving from year to year.
Yeah.
How much of this defensive ineptitude, the ability to win down the stretch, comes back to having a guy that's going to prioritize the offense no matter what?
I think as a head coach, if you're a defensive guy, most of those defensive coaches, it all depends who you have running the offense, meaning the HC, the OC. If you got a quality guy in there, you let him do his business. You oversee it. You just don't try to get in the way and mess things up. And that OC, his priority is and should be his quarterback, coaching him up, making sure he is the focal point of everything they do as far as protecting him, game plan, et cetera, et cetera. Use them to the best of their ability. And I listen to Colin a lot too. I actually disagree with him on that one point, that just because you have a defensive guy leading the way, you're stunting the growth of your quarterback. No, if you go get a good quality OC, then everything should be good. It's just a matter of how they handle that business. In most instances, you look at some of these good defensive coaches, they've got garbage as far as their OCs, and maybe that's their biggest problem. They don't know how to pick that. But the quarterback, you get it right, you should have somebody in there grooming that dude. I mean, what's a defensive coach mostly do? Belichick, I'm sure he goes from room to room. He spends more time in that defensive room, at least when Brady was there. Can you imagine? He spends all the time in the defense room because he ain't got nothing to worry about on the offensive side. The problem is you put somebody in there who's inept, now you got to start peeking in there more, and you're making suggestions more and stuff like that. I think that's the biggest thing, not the fact that you have a defensive coach on that, head coach.
Yeah, but relating it to Kingsbury, though, in a sense, and kind of is like look at how weak the defense is in this case. And like you said, trading for Hollywood, giving up that first round talent, then going and getting a tight end. You're always prioritizing the offense in that case. And that kind of leads to this kind of systemic where these defensive coordinators have to work with kind of the scraps of it. And now let's circle back to Isaiah Simmons just real quick, because you mentioned something about this jack of all trades, master of none type mentality with the usage of him. Now, the Carolina Panthers have been on a free fall. We just broke a 9-game losing streak with a win over the Saints this past week. And our defense has been terrible against the run. There's been some question. Everything, when you're on this kind of free fall, everybody is in the firing line when it comes to criticism. And finally, our defensive head coach has come into our sights for running a 3-3-5 stack, a college-type defense. And one of the kind of tidbits that's been brought to the C3 Panthers podcast, we never break news, and we actually got some news from a tip from somebody close, that we got to say per source, close to the organization. We never get to say those words. And one was that Jeremy Chin was upset that he wasn't being used in a singular role and being able to get good at that. So putting that to Isaiah Simmons, you talked about this ability to get better, become a master at one position, and then start to branch out. These people are asking a lot. My question to you, I know I'm kind of meandering around it. One of the things that's difficult for a linebacker is to play well when the defensive tackles stink. And you don't know what to do. You don't know if you got to try to get up in the box and try to stop the run or drop back into coverage. Where are you guys using Isaiah Simmons? Is he an outside linebacker? Is he, I know you're saying all over the place. And do you think there's any relationship to the weakness of that defensive front with kind of some of his, like you said, it's about reacting rather than thinking.
And I use the word, it's more about processing.
Right.
The information comes in, you read run, you read play action, you zone, whatever, you're supposed to be out there processing it. The faster you can do that, the more successful you're going to be. His computer, man, is in just, it's almost like he has too much on the disk right now, on the hard drive. And it is slow. So he's not processing everything. That's because they have him doing too much stuff. I wish I could tell you, well, he right now is a linebacker now, because they talk about using him more at safety. And then they talk about, well, he can also cover backs out of the backfield. And we can play him in the slot. And he can also cover tight ends out of, So it's like they don't even know right now. And here's my question. And we all have kids and stuff like that. If the kid doesn't know how, if we don't know how the kid's supposed to know, and
right.
when in saying that, it's like, if they don't know how to use him and what he's good at, how's he supposed to know? I guarantee you, they're having, because I've seen guys of his talent before. They'll take him and he starts the day in the linebacker room for the morning, and then in the afternoon he goes and sits with the safeties. So he's not even getting a full day of training in his one thing. He's sprinkled here, he's sprinkled there because he has to know it all because they're going to use him in every single way. And it's just not helpful, And as far as that front, you hit it right on the head. Because I think one of you asked me earlier, what is the weakness or the biggest weakness of this defense? Yeah, it is our front. If you can't, think about this. If you took Bobby Wagner out of linebacker and you took my man, the for the Rams, Ramsey. If you took him, both of them out of their lineup, that front with Aaron Donald could still cause enough havoc, and you could actually have success with that front. You take that front away, and now everything else behind it is exposed. When you talk about running against us, the reason the teams have been successful, you watch the film, their double teams are getting up to our into our second line. So they're not only blocking the line, they're getting up to those linebackers, which they have fighting to get off blocks. And the next, runners in the secondary, and check our stats. Buda Baker, anytime our safeties are leading in tackling,
it's not good. It's not good news.
Thing.
We've been there before, and it was because we even saw Luke Kuechly decline there.
Yeah.
When he didn't. Anyway, that's when he said, "I'm out of here." Greg, go ahead. We only got two more questions for you. We'll let you go, Ed. I'm sorry we've been taking so much time.
No worries, man. I enjoy it.
Yeah, Ed, real quick, one thing every team has in common, and I think it can make or break a season that everybody has to expect, is injuries. We can say we have a terrible defense, terrible offense this year, and blame it on a lot of things. How are you guys looking on the injury front? Are there anybody serious out? It's really
Rondale Moore has been out since. And I'll be real quick with this. How the heck can anybody be hurt when nobody played in the preseason? We started off week 1, and our injury report, it went from, we're finishing up camp. We had that third preseason game, which nobody played in. A week and a half later, we're getting ready for the first week of the season. We had like 10 guys on the injury report, including J.J. Watt, Rondale Moore, who pulled a hamstring 3 or 4 days before the first game. And we've been a mess since. The guys have been in and out. And I guess they must be having some bang, hardcore hitting practices. And I'm saying that sarcastically because they are not, and they haven't. But meanwhile, like I said, we have guys dropping like flies in our report. As of last week, I think, like I said, Rondale was out, one of our linebackers. Hopefully, and maybe Rondale will be back for this game. But like I said, the list just keeps growing, and I can't figure out why.
Do you think that maybe sitting them for that 10 maybe had anything to do with it? Like maybe they needed to be having those reps to get used to the time, and they got back into it after a week, and maybe just put injury that way?
Yes, and more. Yes, there's a reason why.
He's old hat. This is an old hat talking right here.
I'm just, it is. I'm just saying.
I can understand.
We used to build up those calluses, man. It was 2 a days.
Right.
You're hitting, and
when you're concussed, you can't get concussed again.
By the time we finished up those 2 a days, those first 2 weeks, we were ready to go. And now I think what you're seeing now is a lot of these soft tissue injuries because guys are not practicing at all. Then all of a sudden you're asking them not just to go 75%. Now it's actual game time tackling. We haven't done that at all. And we're going full board, and you see all these groins, hamstrings. We got a couple toes on our doggone injury. From how the hell do you injure a toe? I'm trying to figure that out. But we got a little bit of everything. Calves with J.J. Watt, but he's been in the last couple weeks. But as you mentioned earlier, he's always just one slip and fall away from being out for the next 4 to 6 or 8.
All right, final 2 questions for you. The first one is something I learned from you, is that the weakness of Kyler Murray is zeroing down the center of the field. He likes to look to the outside. He has to move around the pocket a little bit. If you're the Carolina Panthers defense, is the goal contain, keep Murray in the pocket?
Watch what the Rams do and try to repeat it. What they do is they have their ends maintain containment by going up the field, and they might have some twists and things mixed in there to try to create some, leverage. But whoever's on the outside, you contain, and then you push hard up the middle. What it's done is Kyler, we all know he's vertically challenged. If he doesn't have that spin out move to get outside the pocket, and once he's out of there, you can cancel Christmas.
Then he
because-
does that throwaway thing where he
Football. Yeah.
that crazy, that poor throwaway thing, man. Good God.
Exactly. But his deal is to try to get out of the pocket because those trees in the middle, man, they cannot see. So what teams are doing, contain on the outside, push in the middle. You keep him bottled up in there. He cannot see, can't find his lanes. You see a lot of these throwaways. And that's also why you see a lot of side-to-side line passing. Those are his clear lanes. We are the king of the bubble screen and the 3-yard out. I was joking the other day, if we got picks, if we got points for catching balls and running out of bounds, we'd beat anybody, man, because that's where the majority of our passing game is. We have nothing going vertical right now, just every now and then. And without DeAndre Hopkins, he's literally just trying to find somebody out there, and it's not working because the ultimate safety blanket is D-Hop, and he'll be out for the next 3.
All right, the final is a kind of a sort of fast hitter, real quick reactions. Your first thought on it. We got our first real sponsor on this show, and when I say our first real sponsor, the people that paid us ahead of time. And we don't got to sell nothing. We don't got to sell nothing. We got to, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no
Beautiful
we do have a promo code and stuff like that, but they said, hey, we're going to give you this. So look, we're big fans of Prize Pick. It's actually ridiculously fun. Use the code C3. You get a 100% deposit bonus on your first time, and you get to have fun on daily fantasy sports. But here's my question to you. The way it works is more or less on these numbers. You try to find a,
Okay.
And so Kyler Murray, more or less 250.5 passing yards.
More
Or less James Conner, 38.5 rushing yards.
More.
less.
Less. Oh,
wow.
man. Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Less.
Okay. Marquise. Mama named him Marquise Brown, 59.5 receiving yards, more or less.
More.
Okay. And the last one is Greg Dortch, 42.5 receiving yards.
More. He's been a
And
surprise. More.
my final one is who wins the game.
Oh, no, I'm so early in the week. I'm struggling. It's 1.5 point Cardinals on the road. I'll go Cardinals reluctantly.
Wow.
I reserve the
Yeah.
right to change my vote at any time before the game starts.
Fantastic stuff. Ed Smith Speaks. You can find him on Twitter at Ed Smith Speaks. Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals podcast. Ed, thank you so much for coming on the show again and being so gracious with your time.
Hey, you guys are the bomb, man. Keep up the great work. We'll talk soon.
All right, man. We'll see you next season. We'll see you
Yeah,
next
there you
season.
go.
Yeah, for sure.
Or in the playoffs. Or in the
All
playoffs.
right,
Who knows?
y'all go check out Ed Smith Speaks at Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. And speaking of this, is we've got the prize picks up. We might as well just go ahead and crush through the segment real quick.
All right.
Remember, you can be a part of the prize picks by going to Prize Picks. You download the app. It's like one of the most fun daily fantasy sports games you can play. You use the code C3, you get a 100% deposit bonus. And I'm gonna show you guys how it works. What you have to do is, at the minimum, make 2 selections, 2 entries from 2 different teams. So you can't just say, hey, we're gonna so at least at the very minimum, it has to be 2 selections, and they can't be on the same team. They are going to give you a series of options. Now, the more you go, the more entries you make. So say we did 5 picks. In fact, I need to see, what is it?
Tony,
5
real quick, they could
Go
be on
ahead.
the same team. They just can't be the same player. So I can't bid on Christian McCaffrey's passing yards and rushing yards, but I can
No.
bid on Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore, right?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
if we
okay.
did, but
Oh.
like they would still say they have minimum 2, and they
So you-
can't both be on the same team.
But you can do
Definitely
same
can't be
game.
this. Right.
Just not same team. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Sorry about that.
So, what we've been doing, and we have not had, we've been kind of foiled. First, we've been going for the gusto, the gold. One of the things that saved me last week, and this is really cool about Prize Picks, they'll send you something really neat, like this week or like today. I saw this earlier. If you go to, did they take it down already? There is like, they have like, it's like Taco Tuesday.
Yeah.
And you get like a special entry for that. I got a free flex pick on Friday. And that was cool because, like, if I won or lost, no matter what, it was just a free entry. So that's fun right there. In fact, that's why I'm up $1.25 from last week, even though I lost almost everything. So that is interesting in one right. But what we want to do is we've been trying to focus on the Carolina Panthers, and there are some trends that have been showing. One of the things that I've noticed, guys, is that Christian McCaffrey's rushing yards are lower on Tuesday than they are on Friday. So if you believe Christian McCaffrey can get the yards that are showing up on Tuesday, it's the time to get after it. You get a five-yard difference. And I think C3's been making a little headway on this. I think some of our stuff is kind of moving the numbers a little bit, maybe. Promo code C3, 100% sign-up bonus. We'll go. We got to make our prize picks this week. I think this is the week. This might be. This is the week.
It's got to be, man. Rules of what was it? What's the word?
The law of averages.
Law of averages. Yeah, it says we got to win this week. So
or you know what is that? It's got to be that Baker finally bakes. He cooks. He finally does it against a defense that Ed tells us is atrocious.
So is that the one we want to use for Carolina's Baker? Look at these other ones. Robbie,
I'm going triples on this. I'm gonna go. I feel like this is I'm trying to hit. Ooh, I like this. I think they listen to the noise, folks. I think the Carolina Panthers have their ear to Twitter all the time. I think they know Baker's time, the law of averages, DJ Moore.
But see, look, right there, you're playing with two players in the same team.
Right, but we still have to make one more, or else we don't get to make it. And it has to be from another team.
Gotcha.
And now we're going to flip over to the Browns here.
The Browns?
Sorry, the Browns.
The Cardinals.
Thank you.
Oh, man. We waited so long for the Browns game. It was like every week is against the Browns now.
Tony's mine is in Madden mode. It hadn't reset yet. What's going on?
I feel like Ed's probably right. I mean, is JC Horn going to just put the seatbelt on Marquise?
Yes, I think so. I think that it depends upon a couple of things, because I think that they're going to have to, based on what we've seen, because we can't seem to get consistent pressure with the 4-man rush like we've talked about. I think there is a potential that JC Horn is going to be blitzing a lot from a slot, position or something along those lines potentially. Or the nickel, I mean. So, I mean, there is a risk of that. It also could mean that we play zone because we have to be able to allocate. Maybe we can't play man on man a lot of times because we're not, I don't know, because you're going to be dealing with a lot of scramble drills, I feel like. So zone makes a lot more sense in those situations. But I don't know, man. I think
this is the hard one for me. It's really hard for me to believe that we're going to hold a running back to 38.
Well, that part is hard for me to get to. Yeah.
If you go more here, that's the one that's disagreeing with everything that Ed said. That's the one he said to go low on, and every other one was high.
I know, but I think he hasn't seen our run defense.
That is a tough one, man.
All right, how about this? Let's take this James Conner off real quick, and let's just peek around the league and see if we see anything we like.
Do just touchdowns overall, like passing, receiving, or throwing. Does it have that option yet?
Have that up yet?
Okay, so that's not up till Friday or later this week. It's so much easier to bet on this later in the week. There's so many more players.
Yeah, there really is. Let's see if we can find a good matchup.
Herbert 270.
Houston hurt low, less than maybe.
Goff 250. What's Trevor Lawrence?
Seattle. He's been Seattle. Goff 250. That's still kind of hard.
Trevor Lawrence is playing pretty well lately.
They're gonna have to pass a lot.
Yeah, in Philly too. That's a good defense.
I don't feel great about any of these. Don't feel great about that. Don't feel great about that. Matt Ryan, do not feel great about. Don't feel great about Carson Wentz at all. Josh Allen in Baltimore, don't feel great about.
I feel like Lamar Jackson over 230 passing yards is safe. Who's he playing? Buffalo? Oh, well, I don't know.
Tough.
Wow, yeah.
Guys thinking we need one. We need one.
Well, this is just passing, right? What's the other one?
Passing.
Rushing yards?
Rush. Kamara 52.5 against Minnesota, that might be good. Eckler, don't ever go with him.
Yeah, he's killing me in fantasy this year.
Derrick Henry. I kind of like this Kamara.
Kamara 52.
You like, but Connor, man, 38.5. I'm going with my gut.
I think that he's gonna I think he's gonna get that, and we're primed to once a game give up at least one big run.
I agree with you. I'm going.
I think you're right. Of what we've seen so far, you're right. I think Connor is the best one.
I'm doing this. Going with it. All right. No, we're not going to do that right now. What we're going to do is this: I need you to appease the freaks.
Let's do it.
Actually, no. Actually, do this. I need you guys to cover it. First, I need you to hit these 2 beautiful members that we just got. I was so happy to get 2 new members. We got none last week. And then go straight into the freak show. Greg, I need you to set up the freak show. I'm about to wet my pants. I got to use the bathroom.
I can do it. Well, I think go ahead, CK. I'll put them up here. You talk about them.
I see the one new member. If you see the other new member, let me know.
All right.
There. Oh, same. Or no, that's the one that's in there. Okay. All right. Well, we have a brand new super fan into the C3 fandom, and that is going to be Kinfolk, North Carolina, NC for short. He has joined, or she has joined, the C3 Superfan Club, and we appreciate you immensely. That's only $1.99 to join, and I want to thank you for supporting the show. Welcome to the club.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. And we also want to thank Just Don't Care for the $5 love bomb. We appreciate it. You guys can contribute to the show. We don't ask for it, but we always appreciate it. Thank you very much. And CK, there's one more thing in there, man. We got a bunch of people in the chat room and not a bunch of thumbs up. So why don't you hit them with them golden pipes and tell them what's up?
Ooh, you don't say. Let me do something here.
If I do it right. Let me get CK to the right spot here. There we go.
In a world where one man must come in every Tuesday, every Sunday, every Madden simulation, and provide you guys with one thing that is consistent week in and week out. You come here, you enjoy the content, you watch what we have going on, you maybe contribute in the chat, you make phone calls, but you haven't hit the like button yet? I have one thing to say to all you absolute freaks. Subscriber shame.
We're ashamed, everybody. 157 in the chat right now, 101 thumbs up. Get it up. It's free. It helps the algorithms. Check it out, y'all. I mean, spread the word. This show's built by y'all for y'all. Let's do it.
Man, I tell you one other thing is it is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. And the way I just had to use the bathroom after drinking 2 Miller Lights, I got to go get my prostate. Good Lord. Get your prostate checked. Woo! And also, guess what? The show's sponsored by Manscaped. And if I go and get my prostate checked, I want to be fresh and clean. Right?
100%.
I mean, in case it's anybody. So go to manscaped.com. Use the promo code Panthers. Promo code Panthers. You get 20% off of your order, and you get free worldwide shipping. Folks, I know it feels like we're begging. In fact, I am begging at this point. Is that if we can get some sponsors to continue to help us through this, it really puts this show continuing to grow to the next level. And you guys have helped it so much. These new members, tremendous. Welcome to the inner circle, folks. And you can donate to the show in whatever way you feel appropriate. There's information in the show notes. There's super chats available if you're interested. But most importantly, you can do it, like Greg said, by smashing the thumbs up button, subscribing, and being a part of the show. I just want to see if there's anything else we need to talk about before we go into the cat calls. We've talked about the game last week. We've tried to preview some of it. Let's just ask this. In our last moment of trying to preview this Arizona Cardinals every week when we preview a game, I think we focus so much on the other team. What do the Panthers need to do?
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious to, from a defensive standpoint, carry over what you did last week. The difference here is you're dealing with a much more mobile quarterback who's not got an injured back, who is going to be able to navigate the pocket incredibly well. And all those kings of almost for Brian Burns are going to be more evident with a guy like Kyler Murray. We've seen it time and time again where he just comes this close to getting home, but the guys just outmaneuver him because, he's pursuing pretty heavily. And these guys, some of these guys just have elite pocket presence that he's gone against. So I think our defense needs to continue to have good coverage down the field, but I think they also need to find a way to maybe not be so aggressive in their pursuit of Kyler. Offensively, I think it's pretty clear. We need to get the passing game more consistent. I think it's just that simple.
Or existent. Fuck consistent. How about existent at this point? The Panthers defense has carried this team to one victory. People said I needed to eat crow, egg on my face for saying the Panthers defense was mid. But I kind of stick by that story. Is that Jameis Winston moved the ball enough against the Carolina Panthers. They played from behind. I know for me is that the day that the Panthers defense can play the complete game, third down conversions, stopping the run, and negating the pass, then I'll start and getting some sacks all in that and generating pressure without having to make it just manufactured completely. I'm ready to eat the crow. But that's not going to happen until the Carolina Panthers offense does anything, something. And the only person right now that can will us to winning on offense is Christian McCaffrey. And it's time for Ben McAdoo to realize it. He needs to realize it at the beginning, not at the end. CK, I thought you had one of the great lines in the post-game show. It's like they felt like they had to get him to 100 yards. I want to see this offense become more balanced, but feature McCaffrey in a dynamic way, and Baker's got to cook for once.
Mm-hmm.
It's just time. If he doesn't cook this week, think about this. If it's not this week, when will it be?
Mm-hmm.
And then how prevalent will that conversation about bringing in Sam Darnold become?
Yeah. Agreed. I think Diesel Skills in the chat says it best. What I want to see a rhythm in the passing game. I want to see sustained drives, and I need to see scoring touchdowns. I can even deal with the defense.
Let's make it easy on the defense for once.
Yeah,
let's make it easy on the defense.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Not turning the ball over. Look, and this is like, the defense has done really well in 2 weeks in a row against the Giants. I put them in some tough situations against the Giants, but let's let the defense take a breath for a second. Let's not ask them to do everything. It's not surprising we won this last game. They scored under 17.
Right.
Matt
Rhule's now 10-0.
Let's go to the cat calls. The number's 252-228-5098. We want to hear your thoughts about the Arizona Cardinals, what the Carolina Panthers need to do, and what's on your mind facing this Carolina Panthers team. Go ahead, Greg, bring us in.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Cameron, Dan, I'm a first-time caller. I just wanted to get through to you guys. I don't know what's going on. I think it's too predictable. Their offensive playbook, Baker Mayfield doesn't fit in it. I think Baker Mayfield is an okay quarterback. I like him, but he's in the wrong playbook. They need to leave him in the gun so he can see what's coming. And this coaching staff, just fire everybody. Just please fire everybody. The future's looking grim. Get you a damn good quarterback. get you a real NFL coach and fucking fire everybody. Bro, you don't understand. Like, this 7-year bullshit he has going on is fucking insane. If Jay-Z were a football player, I doubt he would be doing that. I doubt he would be performing the way Matt Rhule calls plays. Whatever.
All right, still an unhappy camper still after one win, and I think that shows you that while the Panther fans are happy, they are still reluctant to kind of endorse this team entirely. And to be fair to the caller and to people who are hesitant, that offense was so bad. It's like you kind of lucked into a win. This was 2 weeks in a row where kind of a team didn't want to win. The Giants were – all of these games have been winnable if this offense could produce, and they haven't. They just haven't. The number's 252-228-5098. Remember, we're going to one call a night. We're trying to really move to this, guys. Look, we're trying to keep this podcast growing and moving. We want to make sure everybody's voice is heard and respect y'all's time. The number's 252-228-5098. Bring us your best. Let's go to the next call.
Hey, man, JP Panther calling from Mooresville. This is what I got to say after a W against the Saints. Matt Rhule is not that bad.
Ooh.
You know, 3 years ago, this roster was terrible. I truly think we're an OC, a pass rusher, and a quarterback away from being a pretty good team. That's all I got to say.
As y'all know on this show, I would vehemently disagree with this as far as that Matt Rhule being an okay guy. But I do want to point out that what you said is we're a OC, a quarterback, and a pass rusher, like a big defensive end. The three most important positions on a team are the three positions that we are the one away from. Okay, just for me personally, I feel like those three guys are like any franchise team or any dynasty has those three guys established. And if those are the three guys we're missing, then I don't feel like that we're in a good spot. Because those are the three hardest positions to fill. I'm
telling you, this is one win after a 9-game losing streak. I'm not ready to say Matt Rhule ain't that bad yet.
All right.
I'm sorry. Like, you owe me a little bit more than that. You give me 2 wins, then I say, you know what? Maybe there's a chance that we can get 3. But unless we finish this season with over 6 wins this year, I'm not interested in this dude anymore.
Even 6 is pushing it because he's only won 10. He's won 5 each year he's been here.
No,
so
I mean, like that's at least a one. I mean, like you might be able. No, I mean, you're probably right. Like I don't think you'd be able to convince me even then. You know, I mean, but right now with this putrid start, if we get 6, I think that will be like kind of Herculean in its own right in some ways. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I feel like this is what's the number where you got to start saying where we're going to bring back. Actually, somebody brought this back to me. It's like if Matt Rhule kind of goes on a run here, does that change the tides or does that change? And it's almost, and we'll be having this discussion for the entire season. So there's no reason to answer it right now. But like, what's the number he's got to get to after this start? And I'm sure this number will change throughout the season with who you beat, who you win, how you lose, things like that.
Right.
But if it's not close to a winning record this year, it's going to be tough to kind of justify it. Let's go to the next call. The number's 252-228-5098.
Hey, C3 fam. First time caller, Dylan Broadshell from Greensboro, North Carolina. And I got a lot to say about the team.
Let's hear it.
It's probably the most frustrating thing I've ever seen in my life. The offense is abysmal. I wanted Baker Mayfield to come in here so hard and just dice up defenses. But there's a little piece inside of me that knew that would never happen. So frustrating. Defense started to play well, started to come together, mesh. I think that by the end of the year, the defense will definitely start to starting to look like an elite defense. Now, not right now. To agree with Tony a little bit, I would say it's mid, a little bit better than mid at this point. But and I'm gonna say it. You know, the calls from last week about from the post game show about PJ. Put PJ in. Fuck it.
Oh God, no, please no.
All right, y'all. Have a good one.
There you go.
Somebody agrees with Tony. It's a rare thing sometimes, it feels like. The number's 252-228-5098. Baker, you gotta start to bake, bro.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting cooked. You ain't cooking, Jack. This really comes down to two people in my mind that need to improve. Baker Mayfield and Ben McAdoo. They're connected at the hip. The question was McAdoo the right coordinator for Baker Mayfield? I don't know. And I was just hoping that Ben McAdoo's experience would help us, but that experience hasn't done anything for us in these first 3 games. He is not schemed. He is not. This is the thing, is that like everybody across the league says that we're the most basic offense in every, like vanilla, number one, they say.
Mm-hmm.
I heard a guy say we're the worst offense in the entire league.
I mean,
and I don't know if there's I don't think there's an argument against it, honestly.
Right. I mean, it's definitely a legitimate argument because it's like I said, even in the win that I watched, it was just the most boring win ever. Well, like it's just 3 and out or 5 plays and punt, and it's just such a boring game to watch. And there's a difference between watching a game with absolutely putrid offense and a big defensive struggle. Like I remember back in the day watching games, 6-3 was the final of the game, 9-6, and it was a defensive struggle, and it was different to watch. This was just more of a putrid offense playing.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's not the offensive line. I'm telling you, the first time in the history of the world, it feels like that our offensive line isn't the number one public enemy. Number one is this.
Mm-hmm.
How the fuck? Excuse my line. Boop. How to boop?
You got
Somebody said they don't like the cussing so much. I understand, folks. We have foul mouths. We get kind of rowdy sometimes. But like how? How is this? And here's one other thing, Greg, about this offense. Is what if they said the reason it hasn't been good for the last 2 years? No Christian McCaffrey.
Right.
It's just like, oh, if we have, like, it's like, oh, that's the number one excuse for the offense for the last 2 years has been, oh, well, it would be a lot. It's hard to judge it right now with no Christian McCaffrey. The whole offense funnels through Christian McCaffrey. That's what you said about Teddy Bridgewater. That's what you said about Sam Darnold. That's what you said about Joe Brady the whole time. Look, Christian McCaffrey's there. He's there and he's playing well. Like that excuse is non-existent.
And imagine what we would look like. We look putrid now with Christian McCaffrey playing well. Imagine if he wasn't here.
Oh,
imagine
I know.
if he didn't have his 100 yards last game and the 110 yards before that. What this offense would look like.
Yeah, we're rolling with Mike Davis. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next call.
What's up, C3? 89J Stubbs here. Just calling in and wishing everybody a happy Tuesday. It's Tuesday morning. We got the W. We excited now. Looking on to Arizona. But before we get there, Baker was just awful. Like, I'm not trying to pile on, you know. I'm hoping he can get horrendous. A little bit better as the year goes on. I'm not expecting greatness, but can he get his completion percentage to 60 and maybe 60 more yards a game? I mean, every little bit helps. However, with that being said, it's like we're about to play one of the worst defenses in the league. For the first 3 weeks, we played pretty solid defenses, if you look around the league. So I'm expecting Baker to bounce back, maybe have 270 yards, 2 touchdowns, because, you know, we pretty much own the Cardinals since Jake threw all them picks so long ago. So, you know, we can get Collar down, would be good. But just looking forward to the game. And Brian Burns, J.C. Horn, Frankie Louvu, I mean, them guys really kept us in the game. And shout out to our special teams. You know, we've been kicking them in the ass a couple of years, and now they seem to pick it up. And that punter, boy, if he can keep giving us good field position, we'll be in good shape all year. So, anyway, guys, keep pounding. Looking forward to the show tonight. Peace.
Oh, I'm on the wrong pad. I got to get used to this. First, we'll give him the applause.
There you go.
It's a great call. He brings up the special teams, which we have not talked enough about. Right, a block field goal, pinning guys deep. You know, making things happen. Even Shenault returning kicks is made kind of brought a spark. But Baker, there is no excuse for Baker being there. He's been bad. He's just been bad.
And you know what sucks about the Baker situation is, like, I feel like Baker Mayfield has an insanely high ceiling. I feel like he really could, if he's on top of his game, could play as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He also has a really, really low floor. When he's playing bad, he's going to play really bad. And he's a momentum guy. He's a momentum player. If he's playing bad, he's probably going to continue to play bad. The difference is he's not going to give up, and he can pull himself out of it. Won't always do that, but he has the ability to. But he's a momentum player. I feel like if he starts a game off fast, if he has an opening drive touchdown where he has 60 yards,
he's never done that. We don't know what that feels like.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But I feel like if we do see that, then we're gonna see that progress throughout the game like that. I feel like he's a momentum player. We just got to get him started. Like it's just hard to get him jump started to get that game going. But I feel like he has a really high ceiling if I hate saying it, if everything the situation's right, you know, like if players around him are playing well and, you know, he's in a good situation, which is not a fantastic quarterback. But if we can put those situations around him enough where he can play well, then I'm okay with that.
I don't understand this comment from New Daddy-O. We're 1-2. We've looked horrible. And he says Carolina -1.5 at home against the team traveling across the country. We're favored. I'm honestly a little bit surprised we are favored, to be honest. So the fact that we're favored in this game, I think speaks more volumes about what they think about Arizona more than they think about the Carolina Panthers at this point. And to 89J Stubbs' point, because this was a pre-programmed sound, Greg, on the Roadcaster I got. But basically, he said Baker Mayfield's play.
It was okay.
I mean, you could have been better.
Like, you're not bad, but you're like,
not
you're in the
Actually,
middle.
no. He's probably saying this.
Yo, bro, that shit was fun.
Which one was the one where it says "Go kill yourself"? I gotta find that one.
Bro.
I don't remember.
I don't know.
That one. Remember, I played it on the caller and it said,
Bro, that shit was whack. Go
There it
kill
is.
yourself real quick.
Yeah.
"There it is."
Don't do
That's
music no more, you
AJ.
whack.
That's it. All right, I gotta remind that one. Whack. Gotta remember these buttons.
You're gonna do it old school.
But-
Mark them with tape on your nice electronic stream deck. Mark 'em
Yeah,
with
look,
tape.
Promise QS knew what I was going right after. It's like, good Lord. The number's 252-228-5098. Hold on. Make sure I ain't got a duplicate call here. All right, let's go.
What it is, what it do, Panther fam. Didn't call in for the post-game show, but I was, busy drinking, yelling, and carrying on, watching other games, etc. It's your boy Josh from Matt. And I'm just going to come right off the top with this because I've seen it on Twitter. I heard it in the post-game show. Y'all chuckleheads talking about Sam Darnold. Maybe it's time for Sam Darnold. It's like, nah, bro. Nah. It just ain't it.
Not this guy.
It just ain't it. It's just not. I'm sorry. That's just a terrible take. You think Baker's bad in this offense? What do you think Sam's gonna do? Sam gets sacked like once or twice, and that's it. There it is. The guy sees himself in the mirror and loses his erection. Come on now. He's done. We don't need a quarterback who gets shell shocked. I'll take a guy who takes all game to freaking heat up and finally do a little bit over a guy who is a flight risk. I'm all set. We've seen enough of Sammy Boy. Baker actually has time in this fucking disaster of an offense. Sam doesn't. He's got no time with the ones yet. So it's basically hitting a mini reset button. You're just making the situation worse, at least in my opinion. You just ride it out with Baker and just see what happens.
I do like the ride with Baker and see what happens, but I disagree with a little bit.
Calling. I'm really not liking the way things get schemed. I'm not liking, our receivers ain't getting very open. DJ Moore's always got a monkey on his back, it looks like. Got some dude draped over him. And Robbie, man, he's got diamond hands. He should just be bouncing. Should just be bouncing off Robbie's hands. He needs to get some stickum, something. Shot dude. Same thing with Shy. Baker's off target a lot, but that's the thing is when the ball is on target, these guys are bouncing it around, making it worse. It's like the whole thing. There's just no cohesion. So I don't think introducing another quarterback into the situation is going to solve this at all. Because in another 3 weeks, everybody's going to be going, oh, maybe it's time for P.J. Walker. And then when bring in P.J. Walker, he'll suck pond water for 3 weeks. And then it'll be, oh, let's sign Cam Newton again. And then Cam will come in and do terrible for 3 weeks. And then where are we? Zach, just let the stagecoach burn down, boys. Let it burn. Let the motherfucker burn. Just let it burn.
I agree with so much of this call, Greg, in so many ways. I agree we stick with Baker Mayfield.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just kind of roll with it and let it either catch on fire in a good way or burn down. But I don't know if I agree with the hesitation to even consider Sam Darnold.
Yes. I will say through 3 games last year, his first 3 games, Sam Darnold did look good. He had 888 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 4 rushing touchdowns, 1 interception with 68% completion percentage. Looked really good through 3 games. After week, 7 or 8, whenever we played 7, when we played the Giants, he looked just like Baker Mayfield, 112 yards, 129 yards, 172 yards, 132 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 touchdowns. Look, he went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games without throwing a touchdown after the Giants game. So he did look good through the first 3 games, but after that, he looked exactly like Baker does now. Just leave Baker in. I feel like Baker's a better quarterback, and I feel like he can play better than what he is right now. I think the top end for Baker is better than the top end for Sam Darnold.
Yeah,
Sam Darnold's had good games last year against bad teams.
I think here is this. If we go to Sam Darnold, it's already so bad that it doesn't matter.
Right.
But we might be hitting that point, to be honest. I think being gracious is that this week and next week, if Baker doesn't turn it on at all, I think it's a reasonable consideration to have.
And we don't have either one under contract next year, do we?
Yeah, who gives a shit?
So we don't have to worry about making them look better for trade value because they can both walk at the end of the season if we want.
Not at all, yeah. Is Baker's just been so bad right now? We just need him to be better. That's it.
Yes.
Even if he's marginally better. I do. I agree. We've been expecting it. We've been waiting for it. But guess what? It's time to get right against the Cardinals. Let's go to the next call.
What's up, C3? It's Anthony from the Friday Free Throw All Faithful. Just thought I'd call in here and, explain why I was the way I was with my last call. So
your last call?
You never want.
Hold on. Did I miss a call? Because we're only doing one call a night. Hold on. I can't see. I'm getting used to pulling them up on my phone. Oh, wait. Did we get this one? Let's see. Camera doing. Let me see. Where are we at? Sorry, guys. I'm working on it. Hold on. I'm getting used to the Anthony. Did we did this one. All right. Here we go. Here he is. No, that's his first call. And sorry, we're only going one call, so it's your only call, Anthony. Good name, though.
Anthony from the Friday Free Throw All Faithful. Just thought I'd call in here and, explain why I was the way I was with my last call. So you never want to lose in anything, right? Like no matter what you're doing, no matter what the profession is or no matter what that circumstance is, but this is a business and, I kind of thought about it. As I said, that Saints game was the first game that I ever wanted to lose as a fan. And no, I don't want to lose because I'm a bad fan and I want to hate in our fan base and tell the Panthers how crappy they are, this and that. No, I just think that, I was a big Baker fan going into the season. I still think he can turn it around, But with this schedule coming up, this is really going to determine how our season goes. Because if we start losing these games, man, I think we should just go in the direction of trying to get a top pick. Because those guys are the game changers, Like, you see Trevor Lawrence looking amazing now. I mean, if we had the number 1 or 2 pick, that would really, help our franchise and help us start over. I'm not saying that, we need to just completely abandon the season, but I am.
You are.
That
That's exactly what you're
A
saying.
point in time during the season where we have to know what we're doing, and Tepper has to know. Like, I don't care what these reports saying that he's going to be patient with Rhule. Fuck that shit. Because he should not be patient with this guy at all. You paid him this money. He should know what he's doing. So once again, I always bring up how the Panthers reports are the opposite. What happens is the opposite of what they say. I mean, there's been countless incidents I can pull up about Baker Mayfield, how they weren't interested in him, they weren't interested in Darnold, ended up trading for both of them. Now there's a report saying Tepper's going to be patient. I don't buy that shit at all. I think if we, lose the next 3 or 4 games in a row, I think Rhule's going to be out the door. And I think it's because Tepper knows that the longer he's going to keep him here, if he can't get a winning season, the worse it's going to make us. So that's just my 2 cents on it and why I said I wanted to lose these games. It's not because I'm trying to be a bad fan. It's just simply because I don't think a lot of people understand that Saints game you saw was still a Matt Rhule managed game. And out of the 11 wins he's gotten, they've all been the same. Defense is carried, offense is played like subpar, but we barely snuck out of all these wins. But anyways, keep pounding.
Look, is your call is not being well received in the chat, but I get the sentiment in some ways, right? Is that you don't want hollow victories.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways, you don't want so my phone is Bluetooth now, so you guys hear my notifications probably. That probably sounded very loud. You probably look, is that if this is a hollow victory, then I understand your sentiment. It's like if you're losing and you're a losing team, you just want to kind of figure it out when you figure it out. The other thing is it's week 3. So, like the season is long. Like we're not a losing team just yet because we could be a winning team. So you want the team. Like I feel like this is like people say they don't want us to tank. I want us to organically tank. If we are bad, then we're going to be bad.
Right.
And we're going to lose. And then there's going to be a tipping point where we're like, if we were 0-6, then you say, you know what? Is like, we're not trading for people to get people. We're trading people away. We're not, you know what I'm saying? Like we're trying to evaluate talent and some different things, but I'm for that organic tank, which is like, hey, it just happens.
Yeah.
You just happen to be terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to manufacture it at this rate, man. That's still an opportunity.
I agree with you. I want to organically lose if we're going to lose out, but like if we get to a point where we're like 1-13, then it's not an organically lose. I don't want us to win anymore.
Then you are organic at that point,
Yeah.
And then you just play your football game, and you don't go and you kind of sit Christian McCaffrey, you check some different players out, you make some trades close to the trade deadline away, trying to accumulate assets. The players are going to go out there and play hard. The coaches are going to coach and to play hard. But like you're not necessarily building the team to win in a win now week to week mode, and at some point you're going to realize that. But it's not in week 3.
And that's the problem I'm seeing even with myself is I've got to tell myself this because I know for a fact that if we were 3-0 right now, and we say it before the beginning of every season, you don't know a team till after week 6. About week 6 is when you really start to separate the winners from the losers, right? Well, I know that after we were 0-2, I was like, oh, my season's over, But if we were 3-0, like I would, I know
like we were last year thinking,
I'd be telling myself,
like Matt Rhule and them
6.
thinking they're going to make the playoffs and stuff.
Exactly. So I've got to keep reminding myself, Just wait. When we get to week 6, if we're 3-3, then maybe the season's not going to be terrible. If we get to week 6 and we're 1-5, okay, I know where we're going.
Week 6, 1-5. I'm sitting there going, this team ain't good.
I think week 6, 1-5. That's when we really seriously start talking about Matt Rhule being fired.
2-4 is tough too. I think we need to be 3-3 in week 6 to be optimistic.
I agree.
To like saying we can do something, And if we're 2-4 in week 6, then they got to prove it to us more than we got to prove it to them. Let's go to the next call. Sorry, Anthony, we're doing one call. Next one here. Sorry, I'm playing from my phone now.
Podcast brothers, how y'all doing? It's G of RCA. Hey, man, I'm still happy that we won that damn game. But can I say this to be honest, man? I think our run defense is good as shit. I swear, ever since week 2, we have been clutching down on the run D. We just gotta work on the daggone backfield, man. Our safeties and corners, man. That's my opinion, man. J.C. Horn, he's doing pretty good, man. But something that came to thought in my mind, man, what if we didn't draft Derek Brown? We would have picked up Isaiah Simmons. And
he'd be worse.
What if last year we wouldn't have picked up,
maybe,
J.C. Horn? We would have picked up Micah Parsons. Can you believe? Can you see that shit? Isaiah Simmons and Micah Parsons.
That would be lethal. That would be lethal. Yeah.
Keep pounding.
Look, G, love you. Great fan of the show. Disagree 100 on this run defense.
The numbers do state it, though. The numbers support his argument. Like I don't see it. The eye test doesn't necessarily do it for me. The defense have been locked down. They've been better week 2 and 3, but the numbers do support. They've been like insane difference in 1 and 2 and 3. But that is also because the bar was set so high in week 1. What we do, 172 yards in week 1.
They gave up 217 or something like that.
Yeah. So when you set the bar that high, of course, the next week if you only allow 110 total, wow, you've improved by 50%. So. Yeah,
I think the Saints game is misleading about our run defense. Let's see, look up how many pass attempts, how many rush attempts they have. But I want to read you this first drive. All right, the first drive by the New Orleans Saints, it's 0-0. 1st and 10. Jameis Winston fumbles at the New Orleans 11. It's recovered. Jameis Winston to the 6, so he picks up 6. He drops the snap, picks up 6 yards.
Yeah.
It's 2nd and 5. Alvin Kamara off the left guard rushes for 27 yards.
Yeah.
1st and 10.
That was 27 of his 61. So
yeah,
we shut him
but
down.
In this first, I bet you 80%. What I'm trying to argue is 80% of his rushing yards were probably in the first quarter.
Oh,
100%. When the game was close.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
And then they're playing from behind.
They ran 17 times. They passed 41.
Look, Mark Ingram, right tackle, 4 yards. Alvin Kamara up the middle, 2 yards. Let's keep going. Next. So they weren't terrible,
right?
Necessarily, but I'm not sitting here watching this game going, this rushing defense is good.
I'm not ready to crown them yet. Let's put it that way.
I think the way the game unfolded helped them be better.
Agreed. Which is part of what the defense sets up for. I mean, if you stop them and you put them in a position where they have to pass the ball, then yes, it's going to be very advantageous to your defensive stats, your defensive run stats, But it's a cause of what they did. So I mean, you got to give them a little bit of credit for it,
Sure. I'm not like shit like that. They weren't bad necessarily, but I don't think that's the strength in this defense.
No, I think the strength is in our secondary.
I
think we have a stronger secondary than we do like a linebacking core or defensive line. But our secondary was the part of our defense that got beat up the most in the last game. Even though they didn't break, they didn't allow points. They had 2 100-yard receivers when Winston had really nobody to throw to, except for a rookie and a backup receiver. So they didn't play fantastic, but they did what they needed to do to win the game.
All right. Adam Sanders is ready for me to be proven wrong. He thinks this defense is going to be top 12 this year. Says he can't wait to be right. You won't be right about this until the offense helps them. That at the end of the day is no matter what this defense is, they're not going to be able to sustain anything if this offense can't improve. I need to see more. The jury's still out for me. There's questions about the scheme like TJ's talking about. There's questions about the front, the defensive front. Can they do it alone? Or are we going to have to kind of have that Steve Wilkes blitz happy defense all the time to get any pressure? So I'm going to wait and see at this moment, but I'll tell you this, is the defense is not the weakest part of the team at this moment.
Agreed.
Next call.
We can win games with a defense playing like
C3?
we're playing. Sorry, good.
Yeah, go ahead. All right, here we go.
TJ, second time caller out of G Vegas. I was listening to some of the show on Sunday, and I'm just calling to give my input on the question of, did I want us to lose last week? No. If it's the Saints or the Dirty Birds, I don't care what the situation is. I don't ever want the team to lose. But I will say, for the first time ever, I went to a dark place on week 2, and I'm telling myself, don't do it, man. Don't do it. Please don't. And I couldn't help it. When I saw Chuba Hubbard catch the opening kickoff and fumble that shit, I just thought, I hope the Giants beat the ever-living shit out of this team. I hope they fucking hurt this team. Maybe, just maybe, that'll wake them up. You know, but I think most of that was from just the dissent I had from Matt Rhule, and I want him gone, just like everybody else. But a week went by, and last week, you know, I'm just thinking, it's the Saints, man. I just want us to win this game no matter what. It doesn't matter. So we're winning and everything is good. I'm like, okay, winning the game. Then I see Jameis Winston drive down the score. And I thought, oh, here we go again. Same shit. We're about to lose. But the worst part about it is, and where I'm at, is that I thought, if we lose, whatever. I just can't get excited about this team, and that's what sucks the most to me. So,
Agreed.
Having said that, there's no even point in even talking about the offense. They're trash. So I'll go straight to the defense. We want to talk top 12, blah, blah, blah. No. I think it's maybe top 15 to 20 at best. And I think if we were above 15, as bad as this offense is, it's just going to bump us down. We'll never be above that. On top of that, I just think the Saints had a good game, had a shitty game. I mean,
Right.
They had a bad game. Our defense played well. I don't want to take that away from them, but also Jameis Winston's a turnover machine, so there's that. And if you look at it, they had the most offensive yardage of any game they've played so far against us. So we should just be happy we won that one and move on. I hope we win against the Cardinals. I really do. I got the Cards 24-12. That's just where I have it. I think they're going to run the ball 30 to 40 times, no doubt, and we'll see. If we stop the run and our defense plays well, then I'll give them the credit they deserve, but I just have to see it. So,
yeah. Yep. I got to change.
Yeah, well, I mean, we haven't played a running quarterback yet, dual threat quarterback. Kyler Murray, I see him posing problems for the D. Again, I hope I'm wrong. They don't have D-Hop.
Yo, bro, that shit was fire,
shit was
bro.
smash.
Actually, swear on my life.
Yeah. To that caller, like just to start off at the beginning of his call, yeah, the Chuba Hubbard thing, I was in that dark place too, and because of that play, I may or may not have to replace a hollow door for my bedroom. Yeah, that play really, really made me mad. The first play of the game, I was heated, and like right there, it just threw me off for the whole rest of the game. I was like, this whole game's over. Like I'm done, and obviously we saw what happened, but
it's amazing we stayed in that game as much as we did.
The defense was the only thing that did it. You're absolutely right, because
they stopped
they
them
should have
right
been up
down
14-0 when we got the ball for realistically the first time.
But I also want to point out this is that, like, I understand, like, it's look, I'm an ECU Pirate fan, and it stinks. People get mad when our quote unquote best player, I mean, he probably is. He's been our best player. Our quarterback, Holt Nailers, nicest dude in the world, has kept us in games, has done so much for us. But when I say he's not a pure passer, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just not, like, he's not going to go to the NFL as a quarterback. He's just like if there's a weakness to his game, it's actually that he's not a passing quarterback. He's kind of just good at everything. He's good at running. He's good at this. He's good at all these different things. Mm-hmm. So people get upset because it does stink when you dog a little bit on the best part of your team.
Right.
He has literally been the best part of our team no matter what. So when I say when we're like people are going, hey, our defense is the only thing like that we have to be happy about. They're right.
Right.
But at the same time, that doesn't mean alone that they are good or great. Mm-hmm. Right now, I think they're average. I truly believe this. And I'll just give you this is look at what the Giants did against Dallas.
Right.
I mean, they haven't put any points up, period.
And they still almost won that game.
Exactly.
What's crazy. Look, there have been 19 games so far through the first 3 weeks that have ended in 3 points.
They haven't scored anything.
Drive. Yeah,
they haven't scored. They haven't scored. And it's not just our defense being good. It's them also being bad.
Yeah.
And look, if you go back and look at how many penalties that the Saints offense had on their own, chop block, holding, they didn't help themselves at all.
Yeah.
So I understand that the defense won that game for us. They deserve to be clapped about. But I don't know if this defense right now has played better this year than it played last year.
There's not really a big enough measuring stick to see yet. I agree. Maybe it has, but I don't have enough information to make that judgment call yet. And one more thing this caller was saying is, he never wants us to lose, especially playing against like Atlanta or New Orleans, and I'm the same way. I don't ever want this team to lose, and I'm never going to be pulling for them to lose. Look, this win, and I said this on Sunday, like as a fan, I needed this win. Like, okay, me and my wife.
This was for us. This was for us.
Me and my wife have been married for 14 years. Okay, me and the Panthers been married for 27 now. Okay, like if you've been in a relationship with anybody that long, it gets to a point where you get into a lull, and you need a reminder of why you love this so much again. And
or we just needed to get laid.
Yeah,
one time.
Exactly.
It doesn't even have to be the best lay ever. Can we just get some daytime sex one time?
Exactly. And so like this win for me was like a night at the Holiday Inn away from the kids, as opposed to like the weekend vacation, which would have been like a blowout that we needed, that I really needed to be like, okay, I know why I love this team again. This reminds me. I got the weekend, the overnight stay at the Holiday Inn, so I'm okay. I needed this win to restore my faith, to rejuvenate that faith in Carolina again, to be truly honest with you. Because, going back and looking at it, I was starting to get kind of negative on this team, and I hate being negative on the team that I love so much. But this was a win that I needed.
This was sex while the sun was up.
Yeah. Well, the kids are at school. Exactly. You're not supposed to be doing this, but hey.
It doesn't. Look, you haven't been doing it a lot lately.
Yeah.
And you usually never do it when the sun's up. Wow. Does he have to be great? Next call. Oh, hey, big fat fingers.
What's up, C3? Raleigh Panther calling in tonight.
What's up, Raleigh
just
Panther?
wanted to call in. I had noticed, on Twitter today that our offensive line got the award for, best line of the week or so. And, while that's great and all, it made me equally as frustrated just because, I feel like the line is really pulling their weight, and but yet we're still not seeing the translation to Baker Mayfield and getting balls out to receivers. And I wanted to ask you guys, is it more so on Baker? Is he getting happy feet in the pocket? Is he panicking? Or is this really on the receivers not creating enough separation? Would love to get y'all's take on that, and, where we can go from here and maybe to fix the issue. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night, man. Enjoy everything you guys do. Have a good one.
Good call.
Great call. And go ahead, Greg.
I'll say that sums it up. We were talking about there earlier about, at first glance, it looks like it might be all Baker. I think it's about 50-50 blame, to be truly honest with you. I think the receivers need to play better, and Baker needs to play better. And there's no question about it. Both of them have places they can improve, and I feel like if they do, they could be successful. But they both need improvement. I wouldn't put the blame on 100% on either one of them, to be honest with you.
For me, all the blame, 100% of it is on Baker and McAdoo.
Wow. Okay.
50-50.
Okay.
I don't even really care about the receivers at this point. Yeah, Shi Smith dropped a couple of balls in the first game or against the Giants that could have been a bit better, right? Like, look, Man, we saw drop balls all the time with Cam. Like, at the end of the day is this, as I tell you this, is that Shi Smith is a 6th-round pick. He's going to drop balls.
Right.
Baker Mayfield, we traded for him. He's the number 1 overall pick in the draft at one point. He's the one that's supposed to, he has not been good. He's just not been good. And I don't care what you say about DJ and a separate people like, oh, DJ's always a slack route runner. They say all this crap about this. You know what? I don't even care. Don't even care. Ben McAdoo's offense has been basic as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even need it to be complicated. Fuck that. I don't need it complicated. Christian McCaffrey's the answer, homie. He's the answer, and you haven't used him. And you've, like, put Baker in this weird... No excuses for Baker. He's been terrible. Baker and McAdoo. That's it. That's it. And I don't care. I mean, like, look, until they get better, who gives a shit? Let's go to the next call.
Hey. You know who the fuck this isn't. Bleav.
Impersonation?
Yeah.
Man, I got a lot to say.
This is white chocolate.
Man, we need to trade JT Horn. Yeah. You know, man, it doesn't matter that he's 22 years old.
It's not, Jason. It's not.
It doesn't matter that he hasn't given up any yards this season. It doesn't matter that him and Derek Brown basically reversed roles this past Sunday.
On that one play, yes.
Man, fuck this guy. We got to get rid of him.
Why?
I'm
I got to
calling
hear
all you guys out.
He's
sarcastic.
sarcastic.
Oh, okay, I was about to say.
He's joking on homeboy.
Especially you, Tony. Calling you out for fast forwarding that call a couple weeks ago. We all caught you. And C-Dog, I love you, bro. Can't wait to see you this weekend. My house or yours. Because obviously we get together, you know what I mean. Love you, bro. Keep pounding. Fuck Matt Rhule, man.
Oh, my God.
Yo, bro, that shit was fire, bro. Actually, swear on my life, that shit was fire. Keep the shit up, bro.
Yeah, keep that up. My favorite types of calls are intercaller beefs, intercaller impersonations, intercaller support and love. That was not G Baby. That was a G Baby impersonator. And he was obviously listening to the show because he knows I did fast forward. I tried. The guys in the background were like, how many calls we got to go? And I tried to secretly tune up the speed on the calls. And I got caught right away. Somebody said, why you sound like a chipmunk? I didn't know it sounded that much like it. You know, that's how I listen to my podcast. And a lot of people say they listen to our podcast like that. Number's 252-228-5098. We're rocking and rolling, almost through with these calls.
Yo, what's good, C3? It's JD864. And I just wanted to call in, get my thoughts on this past game and what I expect to see out of the team this upcoming Sunday. I know a lot of people are going to be speaking on Baker's performance, and you can't make any excuses for it, right? There's no defending. Dude's not looked good in 2 games. Personally,
it's been terrible.
I feel like this past Sunday's game was a hell of a lot worse than the one against the Giants because at least you could say in the Giants game, you had receivers dropping balls and shit. But in this game, dude was off. But I watched Aaron Duncan's film breakdown, and I want to tell people that it's not purely on Baker, right? There are opportunities, there are moments where receivers will get open and Baker had pressure on them. There are times in which Baker just outright missed guys that were open. Like you had the 2 passes to DJ. One would have been a huge game. The other one, if it's put right into DJ's breadbasket, you're talking about a one-on-one matchup against a safety. And I'm gonna take DJ to do something. Yeah. Take his ankles, walk into the end zone. So stuff like that, you got to put that on Baker. But all around, it's on the offense as a whole. They have to get better. Even with that, we got the win. So that's something that people should be celebrating. I feel like I've seen a lot of negativity. Even after the win, it's like, damn, like we won and people still ain't happy about it. But I understand. like I said, offense does need to play better, and I expect them to play better. So, this upcoming Sunday, I expect Ben to lean more on the run game, and not just with CMC. Get Foreman more touches. Hand it off to Shenault. I still don't trust Chuba, but we need to lean on the run game. As far as the passing game, it has to be like underneath shit, quick routes. Good example of what I want to see is that third down conversion where Baker hits Shenault and he goes for like 20 yards. Like, do more stuff like that. Get the ball in DJ's hand. Get the ball in CMC's hand. At the same time, spread it around. I think this upcoming Sunday, the Panthers offense is going to be able to put it together. And we'll be talking about a potential win streak starting up. But what's your guys' opinion on it?
JD, you're in paradise. You're the most optimistic person in the world.
As always.
Keep on. Look, you're right, but I'm not giving Baker any excuses at this point. I don't want to hear even that. Like, if we could go and look at every play and we can find some reason somebody should get an excuse.
Right. Well, and he started the call out like that. He said he wouldn't, no more excuses for him.
Yeah. But he's like, hey, if you look at these plays, it's not all on Baker. It's not all on Baker. But here's the thing. I just need Baker to make the plays that he's supposed to make when he can make them. Mm-hmm. I don't ask him to make a play when he's getting smashed by a defensive end. You know what I'm saying? Like those things, or when somebody drops it. That's not what. Look, those things happen. That becomes on them.
The ones that are on him, you need him to make.
Yeah, and he's just not even been good at those. So look, is that like he's got no pass for me. Like Baker's got to earn a lot for me going forward. And JD, always the optimist though in so many cases. The number's 252-228-5098. We only got 3 calls left, Greg.
Knock him out.
Good evening, C3 family. This is Panther Willie calling in from Greensboro, North Carolina.
Welcome to the show, bro.
I just want to say keep up the good work. Appreciate all the time that y'all put in to making this podcast happen. I'm a truck driver, so I really appreciate listening to it. And I like the long format that y'all got going on. And
thank you, brother. That means a lot.
To reflect on our Carolina Panthers. Got a for you. Well, really a statement. I think we need to give Baker Mayfield and Rhule just a little more time to get things together. I guess the bigger question is what do we need to do to get Ben McAdoo to change his play calling up a little bit and to do some routes underneath and just scheme some things where we can get these wide receivers with a little bit of open space. I mean, they're pretty much blanketed the whole time. Baker missed a few throws, but we've got to do better at scheming these wide receivers open. Like, there's no excuse for it. DJ Moore is one of the best receivers in the league, but doesn't seem to get open all that often, and I just can't figure out why that is. And then I look at Jacksonville Jaguars offense from last year, and I see it's probably got a lot to do with Ben McAdoo and the schemes and plays that he runs.
Well, he was just a quarterback coach then. He was just a quarterback.
Keep up the good work. Everybody subscribe, like, and support our boys at C3 so they can keep on doing this great work. Good night. Keep
Hey, I do want to say, now that in the last few weeks I've just noticed, like, Winston-Salem, Kernersville, Greensboro, Walnut Cove. Check it out, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and say it one week this year. I'm right here in Walnut Cove. For all these callers calling in this area, I'm going to plan to meet up somewhere like in the center area like Winston-Salem and have a C3 Panthers get together to watch the game.
Yeah.
If everybody's interested, because we've had a lot of callers from my area calling. And if y'all are interested, let's plan that. Get up one day, maybe on the Thursday night game or something like that. Get up and we'll watch the game together because that would be really, really fun.
First, I love anybody who celebrates our long form content because no matter how much we try to change it, it just gets longer. So I love that. That automatically gets a love applause for me. The one thing I will point out about this is that Ben McAdoo was not with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Was not with the Jacksonville Jaguars last year, but he was the year before as a quarterback coach with my man Gardner Minshew. But I do agree with you. This 100 is. I think this is like can't really replace Baker Mayfield that easily at this moment. You know what I'm saying? He is the guy that you got. But McAdoo, his offense needs to change like dramatically, you know? And the problem is you can't just like get rid of McAdoo because we won't really have an offensive mind, I don't think, in the coaching staff that can step into that role. So not fire. He needs to adjust. And he's got Baker Mayfield to work with. He's got these players to work with, and he needs to. And this is where I think the greatest coaches. I hate when they talk about, well, they're, you know, it's our scheme, this and that. I think you look at the players you got, what you have to work with, and you try to maximize the most out of those players. And right now, McAdoo has not maximized any of that with any of our offensive players. He's the number one enemy on me. In fact, I would say he's the number one problem for me. He's public enemy number one. Baker Mayfield, public enemy 1A, and that's it. Next call.
How's it going, guys? My name is Jay. Third time calling in. I don't know if you recognize me or not, but
welcome back, Jay.
So
I remember you.
I feel like we're in a weird spot right now because I do think this roster is good enough to go to the playoffs, especially in a really weak NFC like we have right now. I mean, to be honest with you, with the way the Buccaneers and Saints are looking, the division might even be up for grabs.
Yes.
And I think this roster does have a lot of talent. I like DJ Moore, I like C-Mac, I like Robbie Anderson, like Baker Mayfield, like a lot of these guys. The thing that I worry about is what if we do end up in the playoffs and then we got to stick with Matt Rhule and Ben McAdoo for longer, because that's who I think
I think that's what Anthony Piccadillo is worried about.
To be honest with you, I wonder if a playoff berth, if it's possible. You know, imagine 10-7 and I mean, imagine if it was 10-7 and you actually won the division, right? If such a thing is possible. What does that do as far as extending not so much McAdoo, but more Rhule? Is that a bad thing? I mean, I think it's a terrible thing. I don't think he's a very good coach. I'd like to see somebody like Kellen Moore replace him or something like that. But, you know, maybe somebody a little bit more experienced. I don't know. Kellen Moore seems like an offensive whiz, but I'm also, you know, rocking Idaho. So maybe I'm just liking him from a Boise State perspective. At any rate, point is, I'm worried about it. And it sucks because I obviously just want to root for the team. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Love the podcast.
I think the division is 100. Thank you. Great call. That is a great call. Welcome back to the show. I do think the division's up for grabs right now. It's just like nobody's pulling ahead. Nobody looks dominant. The Bucs are injured. We beat the Saints. The Falcons are meh. We're meh. We're worse than meh. You know what I'm saying? Like, so at the end of the day, this division is winnable in so many ways. I think if you make the playoffs after this start, I do think you kind of bring back Matt Rhule. Yeah. I mean, if you kind of salvage this season, you bring that back. And Greg, let's just turn to the last part of the call. Dallas, they've been cooking with that rush.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's like,
he's a good
how about that?
Decent quarterback. He's what we need Baker Mayfield to be. 250 passing yards, touchdown, no turnovers. He's exactly what we need Baker to be.
Something to be said about that offensive coordinator knowing what to do with his guys. In fact, the offense looked worse when they had Dak.
I was going to say the offense seems to be responding more to Cooper Rush than they were Dak. And I don't know if that's just Dak. You know, he only played 3/4 of the first game against a really good defense. So, I mean, it's hard to judge. But I will say, you know, Big Jordan in the chat is talking about that. We'll see that the division's not 100% open. I agree it's not 100% open, but there is definitely somebody else in them.
Who owns it then?
There's a path. The Bucs do. The Bucs are playing bad right now because
they're hurt.
They have no wide receivers. Think about it. Godwin, Evans, and Julio Jones are all gone. Okay. So
hey, how about this? Is Godwin and Julio Jones will be hurt all year?
Probably. Now, I do think that they are not, even when they get those players back, I do think they're still not far and beyond better than every other team in this division. Heck, Carolina is the second highest scoring team in this division with this putrid offense we have. So, and we're number 2 in the division.
Which is insanity. I don't even know how that's possible. I really don't know how that's possible.
We have a path to the division. I don't think we win the division. I think Tampa Bay, once they get healthy, they still take the division. But we do have a chance of coming in second in the division. And if it ends up being 10 wins, which I still don't see possible, but there's a path to it, then yeah, we could get a wild card because I feel like New Orleans and Atlanta are cooked. Even though I feel like they could beat us at any point in time when we play them because we are not that great either. I feel like there is a path for us to being one of the top teams in this.
We're not out of it yet, but
right.
But like, I mean, we all thought it was going to be the Bucs and everybody else, no matter what.
Well, Madden simulation had the Saints winning the Super Bowl.
Well, the Saints also look more vulnerable than we expected them to be. Most people did too. So, all right, last call of the night.
Hey guys, it's the growl that makes them howl, aka Joey the Blind Panther.
Good one.
I had a great time watching that game. It was actually kind of boring. Yeah. The offense was. I mean, at least they recognized that. Hey, Christian McCaffrey's on our team. I heard he's really good at football. No shit, Sherlock. And you know who else is really good at football? Laviska Shenault. You know who else is real good at football? J.C. Horn, Jeremy Chin, Frankie Luvu, a lot of guys on our defense. But my issue is we play zone way too much.
Yes.
I mean, even when we should be playing man, like we were playing zone the whole game.
Yes.
And like third down, they will convert on third down because we were playing zone.
And you can
when
run.
you play zone, you leave holes.
Yes.
A lot of holes, especially when your players were drafted to play man-to-man situations. You leave holes. And guess what? When the Saints, when the Saints had third down, guess what they did? They threw to Chris Olave and broke ankle Jameis Winston. Yeah, he threw interceptions, but you know what else he did? He threw bazookas. I mean,
he's got a cannon, man. He's a great passer.
He had a wide open Traquan Smith. And I forgot what yard line he was on, but I think he was on like close to midfield. He threw the R5 yard line. Okay? When you're not playing man to man, when you're leaving holes, okay, that's how they get you. I don't know why I'm saying that because y'all know that. Y'all are not dumb, unlike Matt Rhule. But that was my issue with the defense, is that I was sitting there on the beach actually, and I was sitting there saying, why are we playing zone in this situation when the Saints keep gashing us? You figure after you get gashed like 1, 2 times, maybe 3 times, you would play different on defense. No, not us. Anyway, guys. Wow.
All right, that's the cat calls for the night. You can be a part of the show every Tuesday night by calling in at 252-228-5098. Smash the thumbs up button, be a part of the chat. Do us a favor, share the show, be a friend, tell a friend, that type of thing. Greg, let's hit up with the picks. We got us two. We'll get the picks from the other guys on the back end right now. Browns at Falcons. I'm going to take the Browns, even though I think the Falcons are a team that's kind of like a trap team every week. I think the Browns in the running game, even though Myles Garrett is dealing with the shoulder, a strained shoulder, I think there's just too much talent there. The Browns get 2 in a row. Give me the Browns.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing. The Falcons are going to Falcon. I believe the Falcons will probably dominate most of this game, and they'll probably still end up losing. So I'm going to take the Browns over the Falcons as well.
Next goes to our team, the Carolina Panthers, hosting the Cardinals. And I said I wouldn't pick the Panthers again until they won, and they won, Greg. I don't love this pick. I don't love it. I think Kyler Murray and that offense could shred us potentially, but I think they have more vulnerabilities than we do, and I think it's time the law of averages catch up, and Baker Mayfield and this offense finally has a decent to good game. Give me the Carolina Panthers at home at a 4-5 start.
I'm right there with you. I was saying the same thing. I'm not going to pick Carolina until they win. They won, so I'm going to stay true to that format there. And Baker Mayfield's had an interesting time being in Carolina. One with being against Cleveland in week 1. And then now he's going against what Daniel Jones came in the same draft as him, didn't he? No, it was after him.
It was as who?
As Baker Mayfield. That was later, actually.
No, he's a year after, I think.
But the Sam Darnold being the same draft, dealing with that. And now he's going against Kyler Murray, who he played with in college. He actually beat out for that spot in college. So it's going to be
got beat out.
Yeah, I think Carolina owns Arizona, to be truly honest with you. I don't know why we have their number, so I'm just Carolina over Arizona this week.
It looks like the Saints have a bye, if I'm not mistaken. I don't see them. Oh, no, Vikings at Saints. Ooh. Oh, it's in London. 9:30 a.m. I don't know what to think about the Vikings, to be honest. But I'm going to tell you this, is I'm not impressed. I think the Saints might be overrated or are overrated. Maybe their defense finally slowed down, even though we didn't do anything. How am I saying their defense slowed down and we did absolutely nothing against them?
And we still won.
I'm going to take the Vikings.
I'm the same way. Vikings had a big win last week. They're trying to prove a lot to a lot of teams right now. A lot of people have them as one of the stronger teams in the NFC, maybe making the NFC championship game. So I'm going to ride with that because they have a very strong team. I think Jefferson bounces back this week, and the Vikings take
And
out.
finally, the Chiefs on the road, 8:20 p.m. against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Chiefs upset by the Colts. Trap game, fell asleep. Buccaneers continued to deal with injury. I'm on the Chiefs bandwagon here. I think they're just fine. I have question marks about the Buccaneers. And I don't know. I know you don't want to bet against Tom Brady and him falling off a cliff, but can he do it by himself? Leonard Fournette been rushing the ball pretty well, though. But Patrick Mahomes right now, give me the Chiefs, man, on the road.
I'm right there with you, man. We're 4 for 4 this week. Chiefs, there's chinks in every armor, and last week they just got exposed. I think every team has a bad week. You never see a team go undefeated anymore, so I don't expect that from any team. And the Bucs, man, while Tom Brady is the GOAT, even though I don't like the guy, he's the GOAT, and he's going through the LeBron James thing right now where he's a great player, but he can't carry a team anymore by himself to a title. He needs
All right. So. Fantastic stuff. We'll get the picks from the other guys in no time. Cody's going to be back tomorrow. CK's internet crapped out on him, but thank God we got the 4 horsemen here. We can carry it even when 2 guys can't make it. We're playing injured, but we're still playing great. Greg,
that's right.
Final segment of the show, we go to the ice up picks where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up to get it together.
Yep.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
All right. This is the point of the show where everyone is fair game, where anybody can get iced up. We didn't mention this. Oh, Greg, I did not. One thing, we're going to ice ourselves up here. How's the hurricane and the weather going to factor into this Carolina game? And it has to help the Carolina Panthers, you would think, against Kyler Murray, who would need to throw the ball if we're getting rain and stuff. Is there any risk that this game could be disrupted because of this hurricane? I'm not following the situation enough.
There were people talking about that in chat, if the rain's going to affect it. I don't think the hurricane's going to cause problems where it stops the game, but it could be rainy conditions. I think by the time it gets up to here, because it's coming from the Gulf, or from Florida in that area.
Yeah.
So by the time it gets up to here, it's going to be settled down a little bit. We'll have some bad storms, but I don't think it'll
maybe
shut the game
pass
down.
through, get the backside of it at that point. That has to help Carolina if the passing game hurts.
Yeah, definitely, because
they're not a good running team, and we're not a great passing team at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Take away their greatest weapon with, I guess, the weather would be fine. Any way you can get it. I got one for us if you're ready.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So, I don't usually go hard on David Portnoy. He makes me laugh. I like his gritty. I'm trying to figure out if this take right here, though, is satire. I don't think it is necessarily, but he's getting the ice up for this right here, and I'll tell you why.
Can't hear it.
You can't hear it? How am I? You get ready for your echo. Mute me. Oh, hold on. How am I going to do this? Shoot. because I can't send it.
Did you share your audio whenever you shared it?
Yeah, but I have this new setup. All right. Here, you go first.
Okay.
And then can I send you this and you play it?
Yeah, just send it to me. I'll go through my 2 and then I'll play yours. I got 2 right here. I'll make up for some of the guys not being here tonight. So I like to watch a lot of games and watching this Buffalo Miami game of the day. I just want to go over these stats, and I got to ice up Buffalo, man. You had 495 total yards to 212, 380 passing yards to 171, 115 rushing to 41. Okay, 31 first downs. Okay, 8 of 11 third down efficiency. If I told you this at all, before the game started, you would think they blew him out of the water, right? Time of possession, 40 minutes and 40 seconds to 19 minutes and 20 seconds. And they lost this game 19-21. What an amazing way to lose a game. This is a Panthers way to lose this game. And fittingly so, they're basically the Panthers North. So they showed some homage to us, and it was a Panthers loss this week with Buffalo. But I do got to put in this one little part right here. Let me see. I don't know if you saw the Ken Dorsey go crazy after this.
Oh, yeah. This is I think I like him more after this.
Yeah, this is after the last play of the game. And then they realized that they had that feed on live TV and they had to cut it off.
Oh, my God.
But he is going absolutely
It's because
nuts.
Josh Allen fumbled the snap, and then they were trying to spike it, and then he threw it, and game over.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right.
So ice up to the Buffalo Bills. And then my second one here, this one I thought was really funny. Look, people do whatever you want to on your phones, but just be aware of where you're at in your situation. This was at the LSU game the other day. This was a video that went viral, or this thing went viral. So let's see. So this girl is just pay attention to what's on this guy's phone. Filming this. So
is he watching porn? Basically?
I don't know.
He's just watching like Instagram.
I don't have Instagram.
Only
so I
fans.
can watch it one time.
Just big fat booty.
Be aware of where you are, okay? If you're in the middle of a game like that,
my man's on his iPad looking at it. It's so big. Like he got it landscape, everything.
Yeah. But I saw that and I was like, oh, that's hilarious. I got to share that. So did you send me that?
I put it in the private chat. If you have a problem getting it, let me know.
All right, let's see. I should be able to.
So right now, this hurricane is coming. Look, David Portnoy is the owner of Barstool Sports. Controversial figure, but generally, I kind of am okay with his controversy. And again, I don't know if this is satire. I don't think he's joking here, though. He is in Miami and he is dealing with this hurricane. Greg, go ahead and cue it up if we can. Yep, here's the sound coming to you on this one.
Let's do it. Can you hear it?
No, I can't. Oh, well, hold on. I might have something wrong.
Hang on. Let me try it one more time. Let's see. Share screen, share audio, system audio. There we go. Let's try this.
Listen, real quick. I gotta fucking move to Florida in hurricane season, so I don't have to pay my fucking taxes because I'm making too much. The phone just fucking broke. It's apple season picking up north, and I'm in a fucking tornado/hurricane with the water probably coming up, evacuation mode. I don't want to complain about rich people things, but the fact I'm gonna move to Miami to Florida to save money because I make hundreds of millions and the taxes are too big, and I gotta deal with hurricanes and Ian. It ain't right. And I'm not saying that you should cry for me, Argentina, but what are we gonna do when the rich people have to leave too fast? I should be picking apples, and instead I'm in the hurricane season.
Oh.
Why? Because I gotta save a couple $100 million on taxes. It ain't right. Listen.
So I don't know. I don't know if there's a good chance he's being sarcastic here. I don't know if he is. Is that like the one thing I don't understand about this whole thing is that even if you have to move to Miami to save on your income taxes, you don't have to stay during the hurricane, Dick.
Right.
That's not like part of, you just have to move your residence. Like you could go on a trip to like Texas or California or France.
Yeah, you just save millions by moving to Miami, right?
I mean, but just move to Miami, and when the hurricane comes, just go somewhere else, dick. So I think it's satire. I think it's sarcasm, maybe. But you know what is this? Is that this shows you the internet is like self-seeking no matter what. Is like even a hurricane where people who are not rich and are going to get displaced and lose a ton of money, you're thinking about yourself and making fun of shit and trying to get attention. So David Portnoy, who I usually don't really get upset with on his shit, ice up.
Ice up.
All right, that's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. We're down 2 men tonight, but we still came strong because you guys are here in the chat room. Y'all are calling in on the Cat Calls line. Y'all are smashing the thumbs up button, and you're supporting our sponsors, Manscaped with the promo code Panthers, Prize Picks with the promo code C3. Consider becoming a C3 superfan. And my favorite fan, Greg, how can they get after you?
Oh, man, you can check me out at the BatDaddy52 on Twitter is my personal handle, or check out my other show at Geeks Chasing Squirrels Across the Multiverse. We go live 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Times on YouTube. We're talking about House of the Dragon, Rings of Power, Andor, Lower Deck, She-Hulk, all the good stuff that's out there right now. We're covering it. So come check us out. It's a fun time.
Follow me on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, leave a comment, share it. Whatever you want to do. Be back on Friday for the free-for-all. Cody and I will try to be getting some content out tomorrow, depending on his situation. But also, post-game show Sunday. It's going to be a little later this time, but we'll be having fun in the evening time. Be there or be there.
Yeah,
let's get the hell out of here.
The audio afterwards. Yeah, share it with a friend.
Yeah, there you go. Let's get out of here. See you guys later. Up.